it slows enemies. But wait, there's more. We really wanted to try something different here. Consume in the grounded stance. Tiamat can actually use this in minions, on large monsters, and buff holders, as we're about to see, to execute them underneath the health thresholds.
What now?
So you can see the little FX mark we have on those enemies. It'll instantly kill those enemies.
You fucking what? Alrighty, welcome. Holy crap, wait a minute. Holy moly, thank you for the follow, Sniper Assassin. Yo, I got drops enabled? Hell yeah, dude. But here we are for the patch notes. Should be fucking good, dude. I'm so excited. I just don't want him to touch my fucking mannequin. Yeah, you do. That's sick, dude. I got drops enabled. People watch me inside a Smite game? Hell yeah. I'll need to make a command for that.
Hello and welcome everyone to the 8-2 Goddess of the Salt Sea update show. I'm Titan Isaiah, your host for today, and it's been a minute since we've done one of these live, so I'm super excited. We've got an absolute banger of a show today. Of course, we've got the first.
No,
round
I
of
refuse to
balance
believe it.
for
F6.
Season
They're not
8, bunch
touching
of
my
awesome
mannequin.
skins,
It's
and
gonna
the
say
reveal
just
of the
as
first
balanced in the
god
game as it
of
is. They're just
Season
gonna buff
8,
other things
Tiamat.
around it.
I'm
That's what
super
they're gonna
excited
do.
to go through everything.
I
Of
do want
course,
to see
I've
him
got
take him out
Ajax
of
and Pon
take it
Pon
out
from
of
the
duel
design team
though.
here with me.
Because right now
How
I
are you
don't
guys
think
doing
it's in
today?
Joust, but it's not in like Arena Assault
I'm
or
doing
other
fantastic.
things like that.
Things
so.
are going really well. Season 8's been awesome.
I wanted to
It's
make
doing really
it.
good.
They're
There's
probably
been
going to fix that, so it's only
feedback
Conquest
and
only.
data to look
Because I
at
think
this
it's technically a
season.
jungler
so
item.
many excited changes with all the brand new map, all the starters. It's been a really exciting launch. We've been busy. We've been busy.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked at the patch notes yet because I didn't want to spoil it because I know I was going to watch this live.
Saying, AJ, lots of data, lots of feedback coming in. So Season 8 is live. Talk to me a little bit about what we're seeing on our end and kind of the strategy for
Is
this
the
first
volume
round
okay?
of
Can
big
you still
balance
hear me
going into
talking
Season
over
8.
the thing, or do I need to touch the
This is a really
stream audio for the
time of the year, right?
Smite game audio?
This is the
'Cause, yeah,
first
I have it
major
all the way.
update after our new season. There's somehow everything sounds
good,
OP,
awesome.
and then also nothing sounds OP, depending on who you talk to and what role you're in and what type of god you're playing. One thing we've just noticed is that the feedback is all over the place. We see a lot of people trying strategies that are completely opposite of each other and still doing really well, right? We've got a lot of conflicting information going on out there. So
well, there's people don't know
wanted to preface
counters to stuff
today's
yet is
update
why.
with
Like,
kind of
people
the
find
idea
things
that
that work
we're
because
trying to be
people haven't
careful.
found a
We don't
counter
wanna
for
go,
anything. So how are you supposed to counter
nerfing
two
things into the
opposite
ground
things?
right off the bat? We do have a whole lot of nerfs, a whole lot of buffs.
Yep.
Really, what we're planning on first is
A whole lot.
8-1 bonus, which players will be receiving soon. We're
Yeah,
doing
I think
a
it's
lot
in
of
February.
shifts across all the starters.
I think it's next
with our
Tuesday
primary goal
is the
of kind
bonus
of
patch.
making each class feel like there are multiple options in the starter items. All feel like viable options, and that one is not clearly dominating. Pon could probably have a little bit more to add on the general practice here before we go into the individual changes.
Yeah, I think the big thing to note here is we're looking at things that, if there are things that have general consensus around them, maybe being a bit more severe with our nerf or buff than other items that we're still a little unsure of. And also generally just kind of tempering what we change here because things are still rapidly moving
F6,
around.
right.
We see a lot of different
That's
strategies
fair.
still in play.
Well,
So
not
what
true.
is actually the best
If
isn't
somebody
necessarily
spectates it,
super
I'll
well
just go
defined.
back and
So
cast
a lot
it,
of the changes might be a little bit smaller than you might
It'll be a little
expect
weird
in some
casting
cases.
myself,
That's just
but,
mostly because
you
we
know,
want to make sure
I
that
could
people
do
have
that.
time to actually mess around with the strategies and really prove out that they are the most effective strategies before just immediately nerfing.
Awesome. So, yep.
I
Taking
need
a
to
look
do
at
that to
starter
some of the
items for this
prospect
bonus
games
balance.
yesterday,
We introduced
too.
a lot of them. So let's go ahead and get right into bonus balance. That's going to be going live next week on February 9th to you all. And we're going to kick it off with Conduit Gem. This is the kind of go-to mage starter item, has been the general consensus.
Not a big
amongst the
nerf,
community.
2.5
so Conduit
to
Gem is
2%.
going to be seeing a nerf, going to be decreasing the MP5 and also decreasing the magical power on it.
Oh, it looks like that's listing the Archmage's Gem nerf. Spoilers.
Spoiler. Pon, why don't I'll take the set of these mage, and then you can take the next set, because they're kind of these balance changes are coming in packages. So first we're looking at mage starters, specifically the conduit gem starter, which, sorry for the typo here at the bottom, but what you're going to be seeing is on this starter item, you're going to see 5 less MP5 and 5 less magical power. Just nudging that one down to try to
it does seem to be the popular one, the conduit gem. Although I think that's more the other type of mages
now,
you're running rather than
performer, so we're taking
it
that
being.
one down.
Well, it is probably the starter. So
the Archmage's gem, which that is the 2.5% scaling per stack down to 2% scaling per stack. So that's going to significantly lower the amount of additional burst damage that a few mages are using very effectively. You know, Nuwa, Scylla. We know a lot of mages are using this really effectively. So instead of nerfing those gods,
so what's that? Instead of 50% scaling, it's now 40%, right?
Gem. That is going to be combined with the third change, Pendulum of the Ages, which is an upgrade from the Sands of Time line. That's going to be getting up to 20% cooldown. That is a big change. Right?
And power from mana.
20% cooldown is a huge deal to be able to get on a single item. We were initially concerned that you might have issues with properly capping your cooldown with a item that was level locked and also have 20%, but we saw a lot of mages that were just interested in this option and said that this would be a better way to make this extended to the late game. We're also increasing some of the magic power that you're able to get from your mana, which
so more power,
more
cooldown. So just
to help it
cycling ability mage. Okay, that's a good buff.
All right, so that's kind of your mage starter item package here. Let's move on to some of the jungle/solo items, and we've got, you know, Mannequin Scepter back with a vengeance in this update. It's been everyone's favorite new starter item, so we're going to be seeing a nerf to Mannequin Scepter both in bonus and in the main update when 8.2 launches, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But for this bonus balance round, we're going to be decreasing the protections, the bonus damage on Mannequin Scepter, but increasing the bonus damage in the jungle.
Yeah,
so make it more of a jungle farming item rather than a brawling item. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this change.
Warriors Axe has been actually the dominant performer. We've seen a lot of top-end warrior players.
This is not a bad change at all.
Where
because as a solo laner, if you get Bluestone and as a jungler I get Mannequin, instantly I am tankier than you are right off the fucking bat. Which means that I can outtrade solo laners early game and put you behind so easily.
Give Bluestone a little bit of an extra option, as well as decrease Mannequin Scepter and Warrior's Axe to bring them all closer together. So this one, Mannequin Scepter,
especially in the solo lane too, because now you're not going to get out-traded.
Not just in solo lane, but also in the...
No, I like it because it focuses it less out of that solo lane, less out of that early fighting, and a little bit to that early farming. Because that 4 times damage means that hyper carries like Baka, Arachne can still start to side him and farm so effectively without having to get golden blade.
Popularity as we kind of rounded out our bonus balance. So we have one more nerf coming in the actual 8.2 patch, which will be a reduction to its attack speed. So it is getting one more nerf on top of this that won't be there immediately.
I'm not surprised at that. I'm okay with these changes. I'm okay with these changes as long as the Mannequin Scepter ideal is there, the reduced attack speed,
it's the new hotness, man. Like
the extra damage, the jungle clear. I'm okay with that.
Decrease in Mannequin Scepter, but
I'm still gonna run it. That doesn't change anything for me with Mannequin Scepter. I'll need to get used to the new numbers because it'll be early game. Those
so this is the upgrade to Bluestone, and really Bluestone itself competes pretty well in lane, but it didn't really have a solid upgrade option for a tanky.
Yeah, that's actually kind of nice. Except that Bluestone's still a terrible item to go solo.
You can either go the super offensive corrupted Bluestone, or you can go Bluestone Brooch, which will give you that 200 health to just kind of be the front line for your team.
We've also seen people leveraging that attack speed debuff on Bluestone's upgrade as well as an interesting way. But it doesn't quite give you the tanky stats, so we wanted to go ahead and put that here clearly.
I think they should leave the other jungle options, because I think the other options are fine. You've got your Bumba's Hammer, which late game with the cooldown, the pen, the health and mana, as well as the fact that you heal. You heal based on that. So if you build just Sledge and that, you have enough health where you're healing for like 150 every ability. So you have sustain, you have cooldown, out the wazoo. The passive is insane. They don't need to touch Bumbas.
Yeah, so
the other attack one's really good too.
Specifically on this item, let it trade especially well with its direct competition. Bluestone
okay, so no longer. So this Warrior's Axe just got less tanky. No more of the flat damage.
Trades are a bit more
but more health, so you'll be able to just
as well as the increased health, just to kind of offset that nerf. You have a little bit more health to play with in the early game, a little bit of extra wiggle room with your health to kind of.
I mean, 25 damage. That's going to be a difference between a volley of
the kind of direct
one more volley of creeps.
Right, and in line with this
although it loses the flat damage
reduction, we're going to be seeing a similar change to Sundering Axe, which is the upgrade from Warrior's Axe, seeing a 5 flat damage reduction.
So no
to the item
Yep,
bonus.
this
damage
is
reduction on the
partially a
Sundering
consistency
Axe.
change where upgrades generally don't have different
But yeah,
stats.
I
Obviously,
don't
the
think
starters
Bumba's
with all
needs
their
to be
various
changed at
rules
all. I
kind of
still
break
run
that.
it like on
But this felt
Hebo.
a place where we
Bumba's
could be
dagger with
consistent, as well
Chronos,
as it just
Deso
kind of
is
didn't make sense for this
nuts.
item to have that flat damage
You can
reduction
ult.
for
I
it.
did it, and I went back and watched a video. I
And
ulted
although you might
twice
have not
within
seen this item
25
a lot in your
seconds.
games, we have
Out
seen
of this
it pretty
Hebo
overwhelmingly
ult
at
twice in
high
25
ranking
seconds.
games. We already received
It's
pretty
disgusting.
consistent pro feedback from many pro solo laners and guardians saying that Warrior's X was by far the safest and most consistent starter. A lot of mannequin starts, people doing Bluestone, a lot of people doing some fun stuff.
Yeah,
pretty
so
overwhelming feedback.
they don't need to
that
chase
one was
Bumbas.
just the
Early
best
game,
of the
it doesn't have any
sectors.
power,
that-
so you
that-
do want to
these
get
little
like a
shifts
boots rush
might
or
take you a
build
bit by
into
surprise.
items really
They
quick,
are
so it does
shifts,
keep you
which,
kind
as
of
you've
farming
seen,
for that
normally we
first
just
couple
do
of minutes,
strictly net
unless
and
you have
nerfs
some sort of
bonus
like
balance,
built-in
but
power
across
spike
this
like
patch,
Nem
you notice
passive
we're
or
bringing a
something
lot
like
of
that.
buffs and nerfs and even shifts on the same item to really just try to.
And then the other
fine-tune
one,
these
Eye of the
starter items to be a
Jungle,
little
its
bit more
its
close to
intended
each
role
other.
is good.
And,
It's a farming
we
item. You
heavily
got the
suspected
attack
that with
speed
the
early,
nerfs
which
we
is
were playing
nice
the
because
mannequin,
on like
that Warrior's
Mercury
X
and
would just
Baka, you
become
can have
the
some early
go-to.
pressure because
Everyone
you've
has
got that
to buy it.
attack
And
speed right
solo
off the
laners,
bat.
they already went through seasons where they only had.
Oh,
one option.
and
We
it's
want
more
to give
ability
more
based. Like
options.
Bumbas on
This nerf should
Hunbats
open up a lot
is
more
insane.
options
Like
in solo.
Ravana,
Honestly,
you're
we have seen
like
a lot of crazy
on
experimentations
Hebo
there.
specifically,
We've
it's
seen aggressive
nuts.
Guardians, Vamp
But
Shroud.
that's because he's
We've
also
seen
got like
assassins
Chronos
with
Pendant
bruiser
passive
builds.
and
We've seen some
Deso
really cool stuff,
passive.
and we
But
wanna make sure
I
we
was
continue to
I was
facilitate
wanting
that flexible playstyle.
1.8 seconds, which if I hit
Right,
an
and
auto with
speaking of more
Bumba's Hammer,
options, we
that's
got
a
another
1
one
second
that's kinda
cooldown.
towards
So
the
literally
solo
was
lane. I've seen a
one
few
auto,
little
one auto, one auto,
with
one
Warding
auto, one
Sigil
auto,
in the
one
solo
auto
lane.
on
We're going to be making a buff to this
Hebo.
item.
It's
It's
nuts.
now going to provide 10 physical protections,
Ooh.
but we're decreasing the health from 100 to 75.
So
Yeah, we're
Sigil's a
talking
little
about
bit better.
mannequins, Warrior's Axe, and Bluestone, and that is technically not the 3 warrior starter items. That's 1 assassin and 2 warriors. This is the other warrior starter item that largely was just too narrow in its focus of being anti-magical. So we're going to give it a little bit more.
So now
rounded
you
defense.
could use
It's
it
still
against
very good
physical
against
or
magical.
magical
It's better
in the
against
lane.
magical than
So your
physical.
laning will be better.
But it's not going to be completely useless against.
The problem with this
physical gods,
item is
as
it
well as
has
those
no
physical
sort of
minions that are gonna
sustain.
be
So unless you have some sort of
very
sustain or
significant.
consistent way to get your own blue buff,
Warding
this is a
Sigil seeing
dangerous
buff,
item
and
to get
also seeing a
early.
buff to both of its upgrades. Infused Sizzle, we're going to be buffing that, decreasing the stat count to detonate, and then also increasing the detonate damage.
So the
by
infused
100
sigil now, which
power.
basically is like a Pridwin
Yeah, so
shield
this was
explosion.
the whole tree,
Magical
both the
power.
start as well as some of the upgrades just felt underwhelming. Infused Sigil is this very offensive choice, but you couldn't really play with it too much. We want to make that
So every
explosion more
4 abilities
frequent,
you
more
take, you
damaging,
just
so you
detonate
feel
the
what
shield
happens
off
when
of
you
you,
kind
which
of
like
push
on
towards strength.
Cerberus
And the next
or
one's
those
gonna
kind
be
of
more,
guardians. I think
it's gonna
infused
be
sigil
getting
very
some
much
physical
is a
protections as
guardian
well,
solo
similar
lane
to
item.
its tier 1 counterpart. Just so that has more well-rounded defenses, so you're not going into the late game with only magical.
Because you just need to survive that early game and
Sigil
late game
of
on
Guard
Guardians.
just,
This
now
item
going
is
to provide
actually going to be pretty
30
nuts.
physical protections going forward here. So that wraps it up for that whole tree. And for solo as well. So let's move from the right side of the map and start talking about the left side a little bit.
And the other one gets some
And,
physical
let's
breath.
talk
Yeah,
about
so they've just made
Benevolence.
these items a little
So
bit
your
more
support
universal,
starter
which is
item
good.
here.
Because
It's
I
gonna be
saw
seeing
it
a
maybe
buff, and we're
once.
just decreasing the cost.
Benevolence got a cost
Yeah,
decrease?
so we've seen the Sentinel starter kind of take over the duo lane pretty clearly. Now, we've seen a lot of interesting starts there, too. We've seen some people trying to use mannequins and support as well as War Flag. But we definitely felt like those were undervalued and undertuned compared to the Sentinel starter. So what you're going to see is a decrease to cost to Benevolence, which we really think this item has a lot of potential. One, because its upgrades are good, and we're going to be getting to some buffs here soon. And because the ability to kind of level spike someone is really strong, although it could be difficult to apply. But we're just bringing the cost down here to let those Guardians better build into, Hand of the Gods if they need that, or more potions, or be a little bit more flexible with their starting build. And we're going to be making a similar change to War Flag whenever that comes up.
Yep, War Flag is actually next, so decreasing the cost, we can just kind of talk right in line with that.
I like
AJ, you're
this
predicting the
change
future.
because
I
like
it.
these two starters were a little bit
so,
more niche
we've
per
seen
gods.
I've seen people I've been watching, are experimenting
Hey,
with this.
Cruz, thank you for the follow, good
You
sir.
can get some really cool aggressive starts with this, especially when you stack up something like Talisman of Energy as the game goes on. Really be a very strong aura source for your team.
Yeah, I like this change because
although
now
these don't
War
technically
Flag
count as
you can
auras 'cause
play
they're actually
aggressive but have a little bit
triggered
more
AoE
pots and
buffs
stuff with it.
duration, they're not persistently on.
And then
But
you've
you
also
can
got
get
as far
that
as the
kind of
benevolence, and
buff
now you can
strategy
like
going,
get
where
your
you can
just
be a really,
sit
really
in a
strong
lane
buffer
and
for your
hyper
team.
farm your carry up.
We think this has some pretty good
With
stats. We're
keeping
just
them
bringing the
safe.
cost down similarly to benevolence.
Was that not
Again,
much?
to
I'm just
help
happy
even
what
it
they
up with the
changed my
damages.
mannequin mace, so I'm chilling now through the rest of these patch
Alright,
notes.
and you kinda
And
touched
ready
on it
for
a little bit
Tiamat.
towards
I'm
the top
excited
in the
because
support
they said in
discussion,
the
but next up
notes
is
that she could
Sentinel's
be
Embrace,
flexed
which is kind
a
of
mage
been
for the mid lane
the
that can be
overall
flexed
consensus
solo
that this is the best
or
kind of
jungle, so I'm
upgraded
curious.
support
Yeah.
starter item. So it's gonna be
I'm
seeing
not
a nerf
surprised.
here in
Sentinel's
bonus. You're gonna be
Embrace,
decreasing both
120
protection
to
shared
120 to
between allies
100.
and
Still
on
a
passive.
strong item, especially if you only have like
so
one or
what
two
you'll see
carries
here is
around
actually
you.
we buffed the other starters. You know, in some roles we're nerfing and buffing the starters, adjusting them, but for this case we're buffing Warflag and Benevolence, just getting straight buffed.
So now I think
while,
you'll see a little bit
Sentinel
less of
starter
a
is gonna
default to
remain the
the
same.
Embrace.
But then we're nerfing this upgraded Sentinels, which this one seems to be the very specific go-to, and we've seen a lot of people talking about how tanky people can get, especially in the late game. So there's always, you know, a lot of discussion about how tanky or how bursty is a meta at the very beginning of the year. People tend to play a lot more aggressive and a lot more experimentally, so that is a lot of times what you're feeling more so than the true itemization. But we've seen here with this.
I mean,
item
they
that
are a little bit
this can make
tankier
a
because
team
if you
really tanky,
dive,
especially in the late
because
game. So
normally
we're
as a
just shooting
jungler
this
you
down
can
a
at
little
least
bit to make
dive,
the
get some
other
actives and
options more
stuff on the
attractive.
support and one of the carries and do a
So we
decent
still got
job,
a couple
especially
more,
if the support
support
has a
starter items and
cooldown
upgrades
already
to talk
down or
about
two.
here.
With
Next
Sentinel's
up is
Embrace, it feels
Compassion.
so much
Gonna be
more that
seeing
you
a
have to
buff
even
here.
you have to like
Compassion
all
is
in
now going to
commit.
provide 40 magical
Ooh.
protections.
And this is pretty much a way to help it compete with Sentinel's Embrace. But if you want the benevolent start with the more interesting XP,
I really like
this
Compassion.
is
I
a
know
way you can kind of
Compassion's
round
not
that
that
out with
great
tankiness in the
compared to
late
some of the other starters, but I personally really like Compassion.
Yeah, the magical protection.
The only
will help
downside
it
of Compassion is
specifically
you really
because the
can't
damage
go
redirected to
blink
you is
on
magical
Compassion,
damage,
just
so
because
this
you
will
start
help you
taking some of this damage.
Reduce that compassionate damage taking you're doing.
All right, next up in the same tree, everyone's kind of fun, new troll kind of starter
One more.
upgrade that has been going over on social media. Everybody's been talking about it. Animosity.
What are they
Gonna
doing
be
to
seeing a nerf
Animosity?
here. It is no longer going to deal bonus damage to
Okay.
structures. Talk to me about Animosity, and because I know it's been just a talk.
There goes Animosity's
ever
use
since
out
there's
the
a lot of
window
different points
completely.
here, that me and Pon can touch on. Specifically,
Because like everybody did this for split
that
pushing.
skipping a starter item to try to build sort of an off-roll one in the late game, we think that's a pretty fair trade-off. Meaning that what we think is skipping a starter item is hurting your early game quite a lot. So sure, maybe you could be really strong with Animosity in the late game, but you're hurting your early game a lot to be able to do that. And we're generally keeping an eye on this. We do think it kind of breaks the spirit of the design a little bit, but we'd like to have players have more flexibility as long as the trade-offs feel fair. We don't want people being able to skip starters and feel like, oh, I'm super powerful the whole game, and then when I finish Animosity, I'm unkillable. The next thing about Animosity is that we found that this is a bit of a meme build. Like, I know some people are putting up good numbers with it, but we've been running the stats on it very closely, and it's not winning that many games, especially when people are building it on like Jonqui and, you know, weird people, weird gods trying to really use the effect to its maximum. Like, sure, that's interesting, but it's not particularly strong. It generally just does the best on true aggressive supports, like Ymir, Terra, a few like that. That's where it's really doing the best. And those gods are possibly buying Benevolence as a starter item anyway, right? So what we chose to do here, which maybe Pon could explain a little bit more, is just touch the structure damage, specifically because that's an even higher level of frustration and cheese that we
That
wanted
makes
to be
sense.
careful.
Because then, as far as in the team
Yeah, a
fights,
lot
you're
of
still
the-
going to
a lot
have
of
the
the comments
item
we're
that'll
seeing really
provide that
were the-
auto damage in
It
those
felt
fights.
like you couldn't really protect your tower
Unlike the
against
aggressive
this,
sports,
but
like
you
you
come
say,
in
like
and
Terra
just
with her
really kill your
cleave and
structure, especially
Ymir
the
with his
double hit
autos
characters
and
with
stuff.
Jonqui and the Erlang Shed. And even though we saw that strategy not actually put up great numbers, it's not necessarily the most fun to play against, even if it isn't a winning strategy. So removing this not only focuses the item more towards those aggressive supports, which was their intended goal, but also reduces the frustration case of players utilizing it too effectively. The Ymir's, which I think Ymir is actually one of the most winning characters with this item in general.
I think he was the most winning.
Yeah. He shouldn't feel this that much, whereas the characters where this
he already slaps hard enough as it is with his passive, so
they're going to feel this a lot more.
So, one last thing to say is, no one is impressed by you soloing Fire Giant for 2 whole minutes, just standing there. If the other team is not checking Fire Giant for 2 whole minutes, then you deserve that Fire Giant. We don't care how many people it took to kill it. We're not super concerned about that, but we don't like the split push. We don't like phoenixes or towers
Yeah.
going down fast, because those are
That's fair.
squishy
That's an
environment
understandable
cases. So
change.
we
Because
feel like this is
the
a
core
safe
item,
choice,
how
right?
it
We'll
should be
definitely keep
intended
an eye
without
on it, and,
cheesing, still works.
We're sure people are going to keep memeing on it, and we want
Because you can still meme on this in like Arena and Assault and stuff like that.
Right.
Like Frostbound with Animosity on Kakulin is fucking
Definitely. All
funny.
right, we've got one more kind of starter item / starter item upgrade to talk about in bonus balance. Death's Temper. Going to be seeing a buff here, and we're going to be increasing the range
Thank
at which you
you.
can gain stats,
This needed to
from,
change.
enemies.
Death's Temper
Yeah, so
needed
this is a good segue for two things. One is Death's
I don't
Temper
like
just
this
felt
'cause
like
people are
the
gonna
range
build
was
this
so
and it's
short,
probably the
you would
worst
kill
of the
something and
starter
wouldn't actually
items,
get any
but-
stacks from it. That is something that should now just feel more consistent with other items that actually result in
Because
that.
the thing
But the
was,
second
is
big
you had
thing
to
here is
position
that,
really
a
weird
lot of
to
the item
clear a
effects that
wave and
have
get all
range
stacks, or
specific
if you just cleared like
activations,
on
their
Rama,
text
just
will not
stepping
be
up to the
updated to describe
brute
it. So you
minions
don't have to
clearing
guess
through with
now
your
if I
astral
need to be
arrows,
like
you'd only
40
get 3
units or
stacks
50
from the
units.
first
That'll just
minions
be
because
on
the others
item
were out of
multiple,
range.
so you'll be able to see that
So you'd
as
either
well.
have to position like
This also has
next
a bug
to the
fix coming
brutes,
as well, which
Correct.
we'll
or
stated later.
be behind them, which makes clearing really weird and
This
you're
was
out of
the only
position.
hunter buff we had.
Yeah. And then last up, we're for items in bonus balance. Ratatouille going to be seeing a nerf. Mages are doing a lot of damage, and this is a really popular item amongst them. So we're going to be decreasing the power
160,
from
140.
160
It's still
to
going to be a
140.
good item. It's going to have 10%
Yeah, we're
pen.
seeing
The
right now
passive
just
is
a very,
nuts. That's
large power spike in mages, specifically in the mid game when they get a few.
I don't
of these
mind
items
it
on
though.
line.
Mages are
So
got a lot of good
we're
items
bringing that
right
down
now.
to kind of touch mages as a whole. You know, there's other classes have been nerfed as a whole. The ones are using mannequins right now, so all of those getting nerfed. So we think this is a pretty good balance amongst the roles. We know there's some specific gods that people think stand out, but we just chose to kind of address it through Rod of Tahuti, Archmage's Gem, and
Oh
Conduit
yeah,
Gems
it's got the
instead.
percent pen, and still
This was
140
one of the
power is I
clearest
think
top
the highest
performers
flat
outside of
power on
starter
any
items, and that's
item.
why we chose
I think
to
you
do
can get
it in bonus
higher, of
balance.
course,
We think
like
this
with
is
Typhon's
a safe
passive and
change for the
life
short term as
steal,
we,
and
continue to collect a lot more damage.
I think Doom Orb with its stacks technically if you
Well,
go
that
because
wraps
I
it
think
up for
Doom Orb
items,
has
but,
140
we
as
do have a
well.
couple gods to talk about in bonus balance. First up, we're going to talk about Set. Set going to be seeing a nerf here. Going to be
What are they doing to
decreasing the base
Set?
damage on Skewer and decreasing the base healing on Kingslayer. Han, I'll let you take this one and talk to me about Set.
Yeah, so gods for bonus balance this time around are really the top performers from last season that are still top performing, that we expect to remain top performing, and weren't largely affected by the healing changes that occurred. And Set meets all those categories. So
Makes
Set
sense.
was just this strong character. Itemization helped him out. He was very highly contested. And he just bullies people. You can see him as a top ban in ranked as well. So we're focused really on reducing some of the base damage.
I
that he
mean,
gets from
if you look at the numbers, he loses
Especially at
nothing at
level
level
5 to
1
10,
Skewer.
where he's
So like
he's got his
level
skewer fully ranked up,
2
and he can
through
dive you.
3,
That is going to be less.
like
lethal
early
with
game
base
set
damage
to
as well as
mid game
with
set's
severe.
pretty much going to be the same. Late game set is what they
And
nerfed,
then
which
last
in the
up
meta
for
as it is
bonus
right now,
balance,
where it's
we've got
either a
Cupid
20
gonna be
minute
seeing a nerf. Gonna be
steamroll or a
decreasing the scaling
35
on
minute
Heart Bomb
slugfest,
and
it makes
increasing
sense.
the cooldown on Fields of Love, the ultimate.
I like this change.
This little guy has been a beast since the buffs early last season. We've seen him just continue to be a top contested pick. We did do a slight touch nerf to him not that long ago. We didn't see him react to it very heavily, so we are bringing it down a little bit. We all
The ultimate
enjoyed,
isn't a
at least on the
huge
dev team,
change,
we really
'cause
enjoyed
if you're
seeing
getting
Cupid
Fail
being
Not,
a
that's
top
20%
pick in
off
SPL,
that, so
which
you're
hasn't been the
adding,
case
like-
for years. But he started to just be so high in the pick ban.
I mean, you're adding like
contesting,
4
so
seconds if you're
coming down
building
a little
Fail
bit.
Not, which a lot of
Hopefully
people
we
are
still
in
see
Cupid.
him
It's just going to
considered
make
as a
that Fail
viable
Not
pick in
build a
ESPL,
little bit more
'cause I think he's
viable
just
for
really
just
fun
because
and
of that
interesting to
CDR.
watch, but
And then
had
the
to
scaling
even
on
out
Heart
some
Bomb
of the
is
things out
Yeah.
he autos. He's a hunter. He'll be
Right,
fine
that
with
wraps
that.
it up for bonus balance that's coming out next week to you guys. But alongside all this balance, we've got an awesome amount of skins. We've got a few skins that are coming up next week too. So definitely want to talk about. We'll kick things off with Dawn of Babylon, the new event, and one that ever since he got released, we've seen players ask about this one. We've got Home Run Heimdall.
Yes, this
as
skin
in the
is
Dawn of
awesome.
Babylon
Yes.
event. Your
You
baseball
literally just
skin,
get to
and this is kind
knock
of
them out of the
light
park
splash art,
into
but I think we have
Niflheim,
another
and you
version
just
that's going to be the actual card that you see on the loading screen in game.
There
the
you go.
Vigilant
We've
Heimdall
done some
Hunter.
extra
That's
treatment to
actually
make
dope.
it feel like a real baseball card. This one's looking super sick. Definitely a PSA 10.
It's got
in my
Asgard on
opinion.
his
I don't know about
jersey too. That's
Mint
pretty dope.
condition.
What's that
I
helmet?
know, right?
I can't tell what his helmet
gosh,
is
I
the
remember when we
Minotaur.
first picked
Is the
Heimdall
Minotaur
Ultimate,
head. That's
the
the
immediate
helmet.
first
That's
thought
actually
was,
sick.
We have to do a baseball skin at some point, right? Like we just have to.
That's
He has to
I've
home run that
played
someone
this skin on
off of this
PTS
list.
and it
Most
it
definitely.
feels pretty
I'm
good
loving the
too. It
details
feels
in
pretty
the
good
outfit
too.
and the hat and stuff, and we've got the turnaround here. The Asgard, I love the purples and golds too, and he's got that bat and the socks. I'm sure AJ will appreciate those.
Oh, and then the
I could show. I'm
ram's
wearing
head on
lightning
the
bolt
on
socks.
the
I got brand new ones for Christmas.
the
I
ram's
can't
head
do
on
them
the
'cause
end of the
this
bat
camera
too is the
angle instead of
handle.
The wider set, I miss it.
I think it's
But,
baseball bats.
Of course,
I think
I'm
he
really
throws the
stoked about this
baseball
one.
bats.
We've done some more modern sports skins.
No,
like
it's.
Dunkfather
I think he
Odin,
just.
so
it's
we've had
it's
some
what he's got in his
practice on
hand, just the
making our
baseball
characters
bats
feel really
that
interesting
he swings
in
around.
this regard. And
Oh yeah, no,
this
it's
character,
it's
I know,
as soon
this
as they
one's all
had
about the
Heimdall out,
satisfaction
I
of
knew,
using the
like you were
abilities,
talking about, they're
You're
like
gonna
they
get
have to
in
do a
game,
baseball skin.
and
They
you're gonna
have
Heimdall
to
alt and charge at
just
someone and just hear that home run bat crack.
slug somebody out of the
That is what
fucking
this playing
game.
This is gonna be all about.
And you, I think as
trust me
well
when
they've
I say
added
that
as
it
far
is
as when
a-
you
it's a very
ult, you get like a
satisfying
crack
play.
sound effect. So instead of the
Definitely. My man is
it's
tatted up too.
it's
I'm loving it. Let's go ahead and take a listen to.
Oh, he's got the,
voice pack for Home
Odin-
Run Heimdall.
Odin's 3 triangles.
Cue that walk-up song, baby.
He's definitely ready.
Still
to
sounds
knock
like
it out of the
Heimdall,
park,
but it's got that
we
baseball
got another
feel to it
one
as well.
from Dawn of Babylon, and this one is
I
going
like
to be
it.
super exciting for a couple of community members that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
We've got
Oh,
Book
nine.
of Nightmares Thoth, the first Thoth skin in a long time here, and this one is looking super spooky. And this one
I want to
super
hear the
spooky.
alt
AJ,
charge
what's going
up on
with
this
one?
skin. I want to hear the alt
So,
charge
you know,
up because that's
I
going to
did
make or
write
break
a
the
section on
skin
patch
being
notes
like
for
commonly
one
used.
specifically mentioning that we're going to be doing our best to revisit skins for a bunch of gods who normally don't get skins. This is one of those ones that was on that list, Thoth, finally getting one. And what we're trying to go for here is a really unique take on sort of a demon eldritch theme.
That I fucking love
Thoth
this skin. This is
defined
actually
kind of by
nuts.
his book, and so is a lot of Lovecraftian other similar lore like that. It's a common theme. In
Like I
those
love how you can't see
types
his
of fantasy to
eyes
have these
either
books
with that kind of
reveal,
whole face as
terrifying
well gives a
secrets
good
and powers
thing.
with dark
What is
sides to
this?
them.
He got
and
something
that's
sticking
what
out
we're
of his
gonna see
head?
here with this Thoth skin.
It's like
Definitely
it's like
looking
actually
forward to seeing
in
how
his
this one
skin.
looks
That's
in
a
game.
nice
As we
detail.
prep the turnaround here. The details in the clothing. and the
Oh,
cloth
that's
armor are
sick. I love
and that
the-
book is definitely demonic in my opinion.
Oh, look at
Also
that! It's
looks
even
not
got
bird,
a
which is cool.
on the book too. That's so cool.
I didn't even
Cool
think about that.
change. Yeah, his beak and his face have been changed, so that's a really big change. That's really nice.
Yeah, no
And
beak.
that gets a big theming change to it too. And we've been really just trying to make sure we push ourselves to make anything that's demonic feel a little bit unique, add a little bit more flavor to it too. So we've got a lot more experimental with our kind of colors and styles to just
And then all
branch
the
out
like
from,
horns and
from
stuff.
things beyond just.
Oh yeah,
fire
the
and
hovering
brimstone.
with the Thoth as
Yeah,
well.
this one's looking great.
I just
let's
wanna
go
hear
ahead
the
and take a
alt
listen to
charge
the
up.
voice pack for this one.
Even the darkest of secrets are the path to power.
I'm
So it's
loving
probably
the
not
voice
going to be a
pack.
screech
Fits
then if
his
that's the voice
personality
pack.
in this new.
It's probably
kind
going to be like
evil
some sort of
take for
laughter
Thoth
when he's charging it up.
perfectly, in my opinion. So this is kind of demonic, but it's got some fantasy vibes. But the next one we've got
yeah,
up,
it is kind of meh.
leans all the way into
I mean,
high
I
fantasy.
get
We've
that
got
kind of a
Dragon's
voice pack
Dagger
for Thoth.
Pele.
Like it doesn't surprise
this
me.
is
But
probably my favorite card art of the entire update. I love.
Look at Cerberus.
Love just the glowing elements
Cerberus
and
in
the
the background.
dragons and
Or there's
all
those just
the elf
dragons.
and
No, they're just
fantasy
dragons.
vibes.
Never
What do you
mind,
think,
that's not
Juan?
Cerberus.
Oh my gosh, the when a dragons have bestowed power on your weapons, they're going to do some cool stuff.
Is this Pele?
This
That's
is
such a
sick,
cool
yeah.
theme for the
I missed
artwork.
that. Did they just say that was
This
Pele?
is almost a completely
Yo.
new theme, I guess I would say.
Look at the leg,
This
dude.
was a result of some more experimenting on the art side within the fantasy subgenres and things you might.
Yo,
be
this skin
familiar
is
from
sick.
MMOs and other types
I
of
want
fantasy
this
games.
skin
So
now.
this
Even
is
the
kind of
back.
the first along
it's
this
cut
line.
out
So if
like
you really
a
like
blade.
it, let us know. Show your love, and we'll keep this in mind for skins going forward.
Definitely. I've got a note here that the concept for this one was actually by Sam Hogg, who's actually done some work for the official Song of Fire and Ice calendar, Game of Thrones. This one is definitely
that's
looking
really
super
cool.
sick. So let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice pack for this one.
With this power invested in me, I shall bring our enemies to their knees.
Ooh.
I love it. Just something about the rhyming cantation. It's got the fantasy vibes all the way.
I'm
But let's
getting this
move
skin.
away from fantasy. We've got the dystopian chest
I'm getting
coming out
that
next
skin.
week.
That's a
And we've
sick
got
skin.
modern android Achilles making his debut on
Ooh.
the battleground. As
Yo!
So we're going from fantasy full sci-fi.
Yo, this skin
What do you
is.
think
If
about
it's
this
even
one?
half as cool as this card art, the whole Android
Another
one
kind
I
of new theme
feel.
for us, right? Another kind of
Yo, what the
trying to
fuck?
explore
This
different
skin is
types of
nuts!
sci-fi with a little bit more of a gritty, realistic feel to it, almost.
And
Like,
look, he's
this
got
Android
look at his
could be
blade. It's
built
not even like
within
a
few
it's spear.
years or decades from here.
Yo,
Also,
I love
just-
how. Look
he's
at how
styling,
much taller
which is
he
just really
looks
cool.
too. He
Yeah,
looks
kind
like
of
he's got that.
robot-like character with some cool clothes. We were really excited to do
jacket
that.
is
And of
sick.
course, it is Achilles though. So if you want to go ahead and take that jacket off and go full bare-chested death machine, you certainly can do that. Too.
Yo, the jacket comes off too. I need to see without the
all the
jacket because
little,
I run without the
all
armor more than I
actual
do.
Pieces of like his armor and highlighting and even like the paint on the shield. So cool.
Yeah, this one's looking sick. I bet he sounds sick as well. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice pack.
You're gonna win this one. Trust me, I'm from the future.
Oh, this skin is nuts, dude. That's two skins that are
This
just
one is sick.
SS
He's
tier,
from the
dude.
future. He
This is gonna
knows
be
he's
the one I'm
part
gonna
of the guy
use
in
for
the back.
sure because I have
Well, that wraps it up
the
for
key
everything
skin
that is
where it's
coming out in
the.
the 8.1 bonus update next
I forget
week.
what the skin's
From you
called,
guys,
but
I believe
it's
the
the one
date's
you have to
February 9th,
unlock with
2022.
the
Extras are
keys that
live
you
on
have to
site
get or whatever.
if
The
you want
season
all
4
the
key.
details, but
I'm
we
gonna
got a
use
lot
that one
of
over this
community news that we
skin over
actually want
that.
to talk about as well. First up, we've got a lot of in-game stuff that you guys can get, earn stuff for free just by playing. The entire month this month, if Black History Month, we're super excited to celebrate, and you all will be able to earn
That's
the
such a
equality
sick skin.
avatar just by winning a game all month of February, which is super awesome. We've also got 2 times everything.
The demonic
We extended
one's
that
good.
event
The
that is going
tiger
through
headed one is
Thursday.
also
So if
pretty
you're trying to
dope.
rack up some diamonds here in the first couple weeks, of
Achilles
season
has some
8,
really good skins.
definitely start playing some games. And then last but not least, over the weekend, if you want to get a little bit cute, you can get a cutesy avatar chest for getting 3 first wins of the day in game. So lots of awesome stuff going on. And then I've also got
Another
a plug
cutesy avatar. Hell,
for
okay.
fans by fans. We've got the Fan Forge contest going on for all your artists. If you want to see your design on some official Smite merch,
That'd
go
be
ahead and go to
sick.
forfansbyfans.com and get your submissions in. The world champion Pittsburgh Knights are going to be going through all the submissions and choosing finalists. And for the winner, you'll be able to get your own custom in-game avatar into Smite that you designed, which is super awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Next up, for all of you guys that are watching on Twitch, if you've got your Prime Gaming subscription up and running, you can get Fiendish Rage Kakulin.
Why do they always have these skins that I already have in the game?
At the top right of your screen there to claim your free skin reward as a part
I
of
also
Prime
have the
Gaming.
Abominable
We've got
Snowman,
a
which is
different
probably
skin
my
that comes
favorite
out every
Kakulin
month,
skin.
and it's been super awesome to catch up on some of that stuff that you may have missed. And then last but not least, my big announcement for community in this patch, in this update show. We ran the Olympians election, and I am super excited to announce and welcome our 2021 Olympians Player Council. We've got Alpha Jackal, Whiskey Worm, Savisaur, Tempest in a Teacup, Black Eye, Davion 505, Kerr McHale, Sinister Phoenix, and Cher. We've got an awesome group that are rounding out this year's council, and we've actually started working with them a little bit earlier, and they've already been putting in a ton of work. AJ has been talking with them almost every day. Lots of awesome feedback and thoughts on
Alpha
season
Jackal's
so far,
picture right
and
here.
we're super excited to work with them this year. So congratulations to all of those, to the Olympians for season 8. We're looking forward to working with you this year.
Love the Olympians program. It's been so
Most
helpful
definitely.
to us. Yeah,
It's been super awesome. All right,
We've been
well,
busy
let's go ahead
with
and talk
the
about
new council
I
already.
know, lots and lots of stuff going on. Let's move on and start talking about 8.2 and some of the proper balance.
Yes, we're almost there.
Live when 8.2 launches later on in February, around the 23rd, and we'll kick it off with game modes. And we've got a lot to talk about, mostly conquest focused.
3 weeks,
if not all conquest focused for game modes here. But for the first one, let's talk about the enhanced speed buff. I know a lot of junglers weren't really too happy about
They're
some of
buffing
that bonuses
speed?
that they were getting.
Are they buffing speed?
After killing the scorpion. So we're making some changes. Going to be removing the crowd control reduction on the enhanced speed buff, and it's now going to provide an additional flat 5% movement speed.
It's actually a speed buff, baby! It's actually a speed buff!
That's all junglers want is it doesn't
Yes!
matter if it's team fight at Fire Giant, Gold Fury. I want to go fast.
Speed buff is actually
They're gonna
speed
put one
buff!
thing and it's disgusting.
It's not CCR buff, it's speed buff. It's
We've
we're
had to
picking
remove
up still
movement speed. We've
now.
had to be careful with amount of movement speed. We did want to be a little careful, but then we saw the feedback that they felt like this buff was just clearly undervalued compared to the other enhanced buffs.
And especially with the
All the other
movement
ones,
speed
I
that
think,
the
feel
enemy
really cool,
team's
really
going to get off
interesting.
on
We want
War
those
Banner.
Scorpions.
You
They're
still
a
have
new
freaking
objective.
Heavenly
We
in
want
the
those to be part
game.
of the game. We want those
You
to be something
have,
we're
you know,
considering
Shield of Regrow
anytime
still in the game.
So,
All these other
we
different
think with your
skins.
jungler being a
Atlanta's
little bit
bow
more
that
invested on
people
that,
still
that's gonna
get.
really
I haven't
help
seen
the
it too
team play
much,
of the whole
but
map
you know,
too,
you could still
because
get
your jungler
that.
is going to want this, and they're also going to want to deny it from their opponent jungler, right? So this should
I like
create
this.
some
I fucking
even more
like
interesting
this.
strategy on
Especially
already,
with Sledge still
exciting
in the
game.
game. Like, I don't need 40% CCR
All right,
on
next
Sledge
up, let's
in
talk
that
about
item.
Invader's
Like, it's
Curse,
nice,
making some
but
changes here. We're going to be just adjusting the area in general here, but also one thing that I've seen community talk about is just how long it lasts. So we're actually going to be decreasing the time that it's active down from a minute to 35 seconds.
Yeah, we talked with the pros on this one specifically, and we also just stood our ground a little bit here. We don't want to encourage super early invades. We don't want matches being decided by 2v2s at level 1.
Yeah, that was
we've
season
designed the
5.
map in
Fuck
many
that
ways
shit.
so that it's a little bit easier to protect yourself, but we want to keep this additional safety feature. So currently we had it really localized around buff areas, so if you really tested the bounds of the Invader's Curse, you could kind of weasel your way into the enemy jungle like pretty far without getting it applied to you. Now it's going to be a little bit more consistently applied when you really go into the enemy side jungle. And we also just decrease the time. We just want to protect you at the very beginning of the game. The very beginning. Once you start going to laning and start fighting and start looking to invade, and cause through laden pressure, we don't want this to be a factor anymore. So we're cutting this down by almost 30 whole seconds, which should be a nice
35 seconds
safe
in the
start,
match.
but still
Which,
opening
when you
up a
drop
lot of
buffs at
pressure
20
zones.
seconds, that's 15 seconds that you need to worry
let's talk about
it.
the
and that's
Lesser
it.
Scorpion up next. Making some changes here, mostly to the healing aura and how the system and the mechanic kind of works. So it's no longer going to provide the aura when the Scorpion is in its down state, and it's got those 3 little pips that you have to hit with basic attacks. It is now going to grant the healing aura to the team that actually gets the last hit. Correct me if I'm wrong, AJ.
You're right. You're still going to have to down it. You're still going to have to kill it once it's downed. But instead of us splitting the reward, we did see a few players. A shout out to some of our ADC streamers. I've seen them when you get some pressure, they kill the Scorpion, but they don't finish it. They leave it at 1 health, and they sit in the area. It was just a bit too narrow. We were really only seeing people utilizing it when they had really safe lane pressure where they could really body out their opponent. We want it to be a little bit more contested and just a little bit more clear.
So now, it'll be nice though, because you last hit it, you kill it.
It's been down to the true last hit. That team is going to get the XP gold as well as access to the healing.
Yeah, it makes it not weirdly staggered. But that'll be nice because then you
Right,
down,
and then
you can just
couple of
clear
notes
it,
on
down
like,
it, and get it and sit in the
map
aura
and
rather than
environment
just
and kind of gameplay.
waiting for
super
it.
excited to announce that we're going to be adding the spectator version of the Conquest map in 8.2. So everybody that's running your community tournaments,
Thank you. So you'll actually be able to reduce everything and see through the fucking trees
as you're spectating your games.
Thank you. As a caster,
and then
this is
also to the
amazing.
gameplay version of the
Spectator.
map, we're just making various environment changes towards the scale, specifically around the fire giant pit, lowering that big wall to kind of prevent some clipping for people with global ultimates, making some similar changes to the order side base archers as well.
I figured
Yeah,
they
the
just
thing
hadn't
to
worked
say
on
on
it,
this is,
so I
one,
knew it
the
would be
fire
coming
giant, just
soon.
the
Because like,
scale there
if you
felt off.
actually go
Everyone
into
was saying the fire
spectator,
giant felt
you
tiny.
hit
He's like,
U, which is
you know,
the
4
hotkey
or
to
5
reduce
times
it.
taller
It
than
actually
that, so
changes
he's big
something.
still.
Like up on that
So we just
top wall,
adjusted
there's
that wall
fires
to
that are
not have
lit.
that weird
They
optical
disappear.
illusion. It also just
And then come
it's
back when you hit
extended
U.
way into the
So
flight
it's
zone
in there.
for
It's just
many
not
guns,
fully
right?
functioning as far as
So we
like
took
old
those trees
spectator where everything
down
was just.
a little bit, not a lot. And we've seen a lot of discussion out there, so Pon and I just wanted to call this out too.
Yeah,
lot of
no, it
discussion of people
definitely
wanting
needed
us
to be
like,
done.
remove trees or hide trees, but we want to just go ahead and say that right now the design team is pretty happy with the way that the visibility interacts with global ultimates. You have to have some vision of someone, you have to have some teammates in order to really get those more clear dunks.
That I don't mind.
And we think
That
this
I
is a
don't
fun
mind.
and,
Because global
like,
alts
honestly,
are
a way to
very
balance
strong, and this
those
means that you
characters in some
can't
ways,
just
too.
bank on
And we
it
plan
being a
on keeping
global
it that
alt.
way.
You
We
actually
don't
have to
plan on
like,
currently removing trees or
you
allowing
know,
people to hide
listen for
trees or
sound,
remove
look
trees.
for abilities, get ward vision, stuff like
Because
that. So
global
this I
alts
don't
are
mind.
really,
at
really
all.
good on this map too.
Yeah.
So this is one way you can kind
Yeah,
of
with a
counter
bigger
global
map,
alts.
they
We think
can't
it's a
just
pretty
like
fun
allow
and
you to just
interesting way
get rid of
counter.
all
And-
that shit.
And it's a fair way to counter. Like you can tell where people are pathing to and if it's a good idea. There's a lot of normal type of game decision and game visibility decisions that you would make even when you're not
Oh
in
yeah,
air. Same
Isaiah,
type of
you
process
rock
goes
cancel
here.
that with just the lightning bolts.
All right, that wraps it up for game modes. Let's talk about items. We've got a couple here. First up, Gilded Arrow. Going to be seeing a fix/buff here. This item in 8.2 is no longer going to mark jungle bosses.
Yeah, so a relatively minor change here. This was just it feels weird to then have the reward for lasting on a jungle boss where that's like a team
Yeah,
effort
like
to
a
kill.
pyromancer
As well as it was just
or
kind of
gold
marking
fury
things that you're running
something.
through the jungle when you get to your camp, and it would have marked the gold fury instead of that purple you want to kill. So it just felt a little bit weird. This just
bad.
makes the item more consistent. It really just makes sure
Nice
that you're
quality of
marking
life
targets that you're
change.
likely to get the last hit
Nice
on.
quality of life change.
It's still intended to mark jungle buffs and jungle camps
Correct.
as well, by the way. That's intended, just not
Yes.
bosses.
Yeah, not the
That's also
Gold
as a way to
Fury
kind
and
of encourage you to
Pyromancer and
go into
Fire
jungle
Giant.
things.
All right, and then last up for items, we kind of talked about it earlier, but we just want to quickly recap the Mannequin Scepter changes that are coming out in 8.2. It's going to be seeing a fix. We fixed an issue where it was dealing magical damage rather than physical, and we're also decreasing the attack speed slow.
Yep, the fixed damage type it depends on your matchup and what items you start. Could be a little bit more damage or a little bit less damage. It largely is going to be pretty similar to what it was before, and then you add the damage nerf on it, and it's going to be overall reduced. But the other thing was the attack speed slow, especially early on when you have no attack speed built.
I mean,
characters that have like cleaving chains or characters that rely on their basic attack slot for their clear really feel the slow at the start of the game.
I mean,
So
Thanatos
for a tier one
gets
starter, that's
fucked
2
by
attempts
this
of
mannequin
effect,
passive,
toning
because
that
level,
back,
like, your
players can-
early
it's
clear,
still not beneficial to
like
train
that
someone with
third
mannequins,
auto
but you're not
takes
completely,
so
like,
long,
zoned
and
out
then
of
you
being able
reduce
to, like,
that by,
box at all.
I think it stacks 3 times, so 21%. You're like at
Let's move on
that's
to
a
gods. for
harder hit than I
8.2,
think like
and
that
we've got
duo
Donjaburo up
harpy.
first. Going to be seeing a nerf
So
to
I
Aurora's
I don't
Rise.
mind. It's still going to be a strong
Decreasing
item, but
the
it's balanced a lot
physical
better.
power scaling on the ultimate ability.
Yeah, this guy's
it's-
calmed down a lot in 8.1 actually. Maybe because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. People are trying a lot of different things. His stats
Danzo
are looking
nerf.
a lot more reasonable now.
It's still
He was
gonna. It's
obviously
like
very
AMC
strong in,
nerf. Like it's
7.12,
still
but
gonna
he got
hit
some pretty
fucking hard.
reasonable buffs.
You just
in
actually have to
8.1,
get some power
and we're just
behind
doing
it. It's
one
not just
more
that
little buff
bonus.
or bit little nerf, and we'll be keeping an eye on him after that. So
Yeah, I think
this should
Danzo's in
round
a
him out
good
nicely. I
place
think
now.
this
You
god
can
is still
counter
really
him
fun,
pretty
really
easy,
interesting, and,
even maybe
a
not
lot of cool
1v1,
potential
but
is
in a
his
team
ultimate.
fight. Because like on her, you
Oh,
just
definitely,
pillar his
I love
alt if he's
Donjaburo.
targeting you, and
definitely looking forward
you just waste
to
his
seeing,
alt.
just a little bit.
Hey,
toned down,
how's it
just
going,
because I know that
darling?
Rocket was
Boo to
dealing
you too.
a lot of damage here. And then next up, we got King Arthur seeing a fix, which is going to be a little bit of a nerf as well. We fixed an issue where Arthur could proc item effects with his basic attacks.
I'm sorry, what now?
Yeah, so this was a fix that Yorm also got where essentially they could trigger off like the tier 1 blessings that existed before, but because all of the starter items are much more like true items in their own right, this is just a consistent.
Yeah, I would say he was pretty balanced. I mean, his scaling was a little stupid, which is mostly what they've tuned in on Danzo, just that scaling and stuff for how it hits with the items in the game.
Yeah,
but...
no mannequins, Arthur. Small fix for
Go
King
back
Arthur,
to Bluestone.
Some big buffs for Baba Yaga.
I didn't see this, but this is probably just a matter of because
a large-scale amount of just quality of life updates to just some of the timing on her.
Okay, so she can get her brew off quicker.
Pulling out the potion, switching, etc. Pawn, I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Yeah, this is one that I particularly was adamant against for quite some time because I felt like you needed the time to hear the potion being brewed and thrown and understand that it's going to come at you, and she has potions, so she's pulling out multiple ones. There's a lot of state going on there that is conveyed through the audio and the time that you have to respond to that. But given the power of it, and
it's a weird delay. Like you definitely need some sort of delay just so you have the
that
chance to like swap if you have one in your pocket and stuff like that.
Gameplay feel of playing against Baba Yaga, and with the reduced timing, it does still feel pretty fair to play against these Baba Yaga potions because you still have to throw it. You still have a warning target on the ground, so this should just make Baba Yaga feel
That's
a
good.
lot better
Good to
play,
hear, darling. Good
a
to
lot
hear.
better and smoother potion management. And
yeah,
enemies
it just
still
feels
play around so that
clunky.
you can play against the
She's
potions
so
just fine.
strong though. Like I hate playing Baba Yagas, especially if she gets like a decent amount with slows in there.
Animation changes tend to be strong buffs, so
yes,
keep an eye out
it's
for
likely
Baba.
very good for her.
These are big buffs, by the way. They are a quality of life, I guess, but they're big buffs.
This is gonna be for the first like couple weeks. People aren't gonna get
Next
used
up, we
to
got
it, so it's gonna come out so
making
quick.
some changes to his basic attacks. They will no longer be reduced by items that have flat damage reduction, and then immovable, his passive. We're going to be decreasing the damage taken.
Yorm?
From
Why are they buffing
from
Yorm?
15% to 10%.
Oh my goodness.
It has been quite a
I mean,
ride
I don't
for
really
this
feel
poor
like it-
god.
I know.
He was the best god in the game when he was triggering items in an abusable way, and then he was terrible, and even last year, up and down. So Jorm has been on quite a ride. We're trying to just
I
get
do
him
like the
back in a
basics
reasonable
change.
spot.
Because like
Now
you
that
actually
we've
have to
seen
respect
the stats
Yorm
of the new
basics.
season, he has dropped off quite a bit.
Especially because like
we're
each
trying
tick,
to
if
do
you're
a
able
little
to
bit more
reduce
push
that
him
with flat
towards
reduction, that's stupid.
support,
Like that's
which I
nuts.
think
Because
the
each
immovable
tick you're
buff
getting
will
so
really
much
help,
more
so we
value
can't
off of
be
that.
so
And then
bursted
the
by hitting
immovable, like if
specific
you get it
types of CC.
procced, he
And
still
then
takes
the
more
basic
damage.
attacks,
If you
just
get him
with someone
without
who's gonna
ult, he
have
just
his basic
dies.
attacks
So
functioning the way that he does.
I'm sure more
We knew
people
this
will
was gonna
play
come up.
Yorm. I don't think it
If
makes
wasn't
Yorm
a
any
problem right now, it
different
would
to
probably
play
be a problem
against, though.
sometime in the future. So we just wanted to go ahead and make this special rule exception to Jorm to make sure that he is always able to do pretty consistent amount of damage through that, so we can balance that more effectively. So I'd imagine to see him coming back a little bit in the solo and possibly duo lanes in A2.
not duo, maybe
Speaking
solo.
of duo ones, we got a hunter that hasn't been seeing, a whole lot of changes here in a while. We've got Carnanos making some changes to Shifter of Seasons. Summer Heat, we're going to be increasing the scaling from 5% to 10%, and then Autumn Decay, we're going to be increasing the protection debuff on that one, and also increasing the duration.
Yeah, so Carnanos is one of those characters that has some interesting leveling order stuff going on with him, because why the one is such a cool ability, the first rank of it doesn't provide super intense effects, and so in some cases you could justify skipping points entirely. One thing that we wanted to encourage was that you can go this and get an early rank in it and feel good about it, especially if you're good at managing all the seasons and bouncing back and forth between Autumn Decay and Summer Heat to get that extra damage out. Just makes it more rewarding to have that initial point spent in, and gives that duration is going to make it a bit easier to
it's only one reduced protection shred, but I think it stacks.
Just a nice change to Kurnos players to make the one feel easier to use, as well as be better at the rank 1 version of it.
You're definitely going to want to pick up Autumn
10.
earlier.
Like, now you actually want to put a level in this before you get your ultimate. 10 proc shred is nuts.
And balance here. Odin up next. Going to be seeing a change to Ring of Spears. One, we're going to be changing the duration of the ultimate to be 5 seconds at all ranks instead of scaling from 4 to 6. And then also, enemies inside the ring will now have their power reduced by 15%.
Odin jungle?
So a little bit of a shift buff. We're taking that top end duration down a little bit to improve.
So mages are going to go into Odin a lot more
and make the ring a little bit more consistent. But speaking of consistency, this power change, it used to be an attack speed change, right? And we didn't really like that because it was so specific. Like, certain gods didn't care about this at all. Just continue boxing in his ring, which has some weird thematic implications, like why are magic characters not affected by this? So now that we've seen Odin drop off quite a bit, honestly. He was very strong after the rework. We got a lot of community feedback and data that he was strong, so we took him down a notch. But now we're looking to bring him back up.
Change.
One way we felt that we could do that.
Because now you don't need to pick him just into healers.
Attack speed.
Because now is like
of the old days kind of
bring this like solo or jungle and you just run at the mage. Because when they have 1,000 power and you can reduce that by 15% for 5 seconds,
really have an edge up in the ring.
That's nuts. Especially if new ults out of it. That's 15% less damage on all of her shit.
With
that's
the counterplay that exists now with actually breaking out of the cage. Attack speed slow would artificially increase the difficulty of breaking out the cage too, which we feel is a pretty good balance spot.
True.
All right. Well, we've got one more for balance here. We've got Isis as our last god, seeing
Isis getting a buff
in 8.2. Dispel Magic. We're going to be increasing the slow from 20% at all ranks, and that's going to scale from 20 up to 30%, and then also increasing the shield health on this one.
Yeah, Isis is a pretty similar story to Odin in that Isis got some changes to how core abilities worked, and then was really, really good. We nerfed quite a bit, and then we've been slowly bringing her back up. And one thing that we feel like could really put her into a solid spot is Dispel Magic.
Yeah, 30% slow.
Her survivability and self-heal. We want to bring some of that back. So Dispel Magic, the slow is going to scale up.
See, but
so that gives,
the thing with this is like,
just sit there
I don't think you upgrade the 3 until after the 1 and 2 even still. So this isn't going to make it...
shield health to also further enable that in the late game.
Yeah, this is just going to make her late game even stronger.
We wanted to call out these are both late game buffs.
Yes, both late game.
Isis already has quite a good early game, but she's dropping off really heavily. We didn't want to over buff her early game because that's where she tends to find her frustration point. Possibly the part of the mistake we made around her reworks. Now we're just going for the scaling, which we think is a lot safer. Hopefully bring her back into the meta in a more safe way.
Because she's just so squishy late. Like, this is the shield is nice, as well as that
balance,
slow.
guys. We did it, but we've also got a lot more that's coming out in 8.2 that we definitely want to talk about. We've got some quality of life stuff that's coming up here, and we want to talk about viewer points and the viewer store. We made an announcement last week about how viewer points are going to be working in Season 8. They're going to be moved to this new system via Twitch drops that you guys can earn right now on the Smite game channel, but we're also super excited to announce that as of right now, or maybe about an hour ago, you can earn viewer points on any Twitch stream that is playing Smite, which is super awesome. So if you want to watch here, if you want to watch, some of
the
your
link right
Smite
above your comment, join in the Discord, and we need
Twitch
to jump on and play some games together. I just got some memory added to my computer, so I started downloading a bunch of them.
Super exciting.
So we'll have to find some games to play for sure.
On how many points you'll be able to earn where you can earn those points and all that good stuff.
Like in my
Patch
channel,
notes
you can
if
earn
guys
viewer
want
points
to
now. I need to
check
add that command
out.
after
But
this.
we're also making some
add a
pretty
bunch of
significant
commands.
changes to the viewer store, and I can kind of pass it along to AJ because we're gonna have skins in the viewer store as well, but we're adding some new stuff in there too.
Yeah, so we're not going to go into all the little details on this right now, but I want to talk about the key improvements to this store. So, first of all, we are keeping the system relatively similar as last year. You can earn points from watching, except you'll now get to get them through the drops. You can buy a pass with a skin that is going to double your viewer points for the rest of the season. We are generally keeping
What's your
prices
favorite
the
game
same,
again?
but increasing the amount of points you can earn. That's going to be a little bit faster this year, so you'll reach those 75 and 200k thresholds faster. We're also adding a whole bunch of other items at different viewer points.
Oh, I
too.
have
So now we're gonna have
phasmophobia. I'm
new,
terrible at it, though. I
non-skin
don't like it, but I'll
cosmetics,
play
as well
it
as
with you.
rotating old skin cosmetics at different price tiers in the viewer store. So there's always kind of something for you to be looking at, maybe buying if you're not interested.
So
in
they
the
make
more
the viewer
expensive
store
ones.
more continuously good.
We're gonna have a new stretch reward skin, as well as a new buy-in pass skin, and we're going to have new 200k skins, although for the start we're going to keep the two most recent ones and only rotate those out one at a time.
Right.
So a lot of exciting things. I mean, the biggest one being that you can earn these from watching any streamer as long as they enable their drops, and you're going to want to make sure you go ahead and check out that UI in Twitch. You can tap on your profile to look at drops to make sure you're earning progress for your drops. You'll also need to claim your completed points drops in Twitch before you go into game to get them. So that's a really big change, but it's a lot more clear. You should always know if you're earning points or not. The previous system was kind of invisible. We love the visibility here.
Thank you, F6.
And,
have a good one. Thank you for
last
stopping
note
by.
about this whole section
Loving
is
your feedback
currently
as well.
in 8.2. When you get in game, the voting tab and the teams tab are going to be intentionally hidden because we are not going to be revealing SPL teams quite yet.
Not quite ready to show off the rosters.
No,
but,
I want to know.
I'm sure Avi
Those
is
will get
holding
shown
the key.
off more in a few weeks from now, and then we'll go ahead and be including those features, unlocking those features for players to start voting and supporting their teams in 8.3.
Definitely. Lots of exciting stuff coming to the viewer store. We're actually going to take a little bit of time to show off some of the skins and in our first kind of skin segment for all the stuff that's coming out in 8.2. And then the first skin that we've got up, this is going to be your viewer
I just want to see when they put in
skin for
Tiamat.
the
I
year.
want to see
So this
Tiamat.
is your buy-in skin to get double points for the entire year. Super excited for this one. Voodoo Rock Baron Samdi. And I am loving the vibes and the digs on
that's
this
a
one. It kind of in the music theme, but it's not quite heavy metal like we've done in the past.
The
This is kind of a
skeleton
different
face,
take
that
on the
whole
Rockstar, right, AJ?
a Baron
Yeah,
on the
we've been
speaker.
getting the requests for a music Baron. He just, he has such a party atmosphere.
It's a microphone! That's fucking sick,
For a
dude!
while,
Got the
this is
guitar in his
inspired
back.
by a lot
Yo,
of
this is
different
a
genres
lit Baron
of
skin.
different types of music, rock and roll. We tried to include a lot of different, kind of different references, all
The Viper
combined
as
into
well,
one,
too.
like God of Rock.
The
This is
necklace.
awesome. We're actually going to take a look at it in game and show off some of the abilities really quick. So let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice pack before we go in game. Oh, never mind. We're in game right now. Let's go ahead and look at what we've got going on here.
That auto
I'm loving
sound.
the basics, and Pon's going to go through our
Those
trusty
speakers?
driver.
They're
Those are definitely
speakers.
speakers.
Oh, yeah.
Yo,
That's
that's
sick.
sick.
And as we're going through the abilities, I definitely want to give a shout out to Noah on the audio team who had a fun time going through and adding the music elements to all of the audio effects here.
Like, the audio's the
Definitely
same, but it
brings
has
the
that
entire
background
skin
noise,
together.
which is
I'm loving
nice.
Oh, and the Hysteria.
The
is
Viper.
The speakers on them playing
The
music.
speaker.
just, like,
The speaker
playing
for
in
the
your ear the whole
Hysteria.
time.
That's sick.
We got the Cobra. Oh,
Yeah, that's
Nice. You got the dance floor with
And
the
he's-
ultimate.
Yo!
he's shredding the guitar. He's got
That
some
is
ghost
sick.
ladies
He's shredding the
hanging out
guitar.
the
It's
side of
on
the
a speaker
too.
thing.
That is
That's
amazing.
so cool. That's
Oh,
actually
that's
really
sick.
cool.
Oh man, it's been a while. I think Baron might have been on your list too, AJ. Well, it's been
That is true.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Baron's gotten the skin, so we're hitting a couple guys in this update, which is exciting. Yeah,
So good.
this one came together super well, and I've got the cue. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice back here for Voodoo Rock Baron.
I know this crowd is a fan of the classics, but I've got some surprises up my sleeve too that I know you're just gonna love.
Oh, that voice pack
That is
is
so
That's
good.
a sick
Oh my God,
voice
I love
pack.
it. Oh, that's
Actually
awesome.
sick voice
That is
pack.
acted masterfully.
Oh, this is sick. All right, so this is going to be next up in the viewer store, kind of your first store exclusive for 200k points for season 8, Infinite Avatar Vamana. And I believe we had an Infinite skin that was part of the viewer pass last year, so kind of keeping with the tradition here. And I love the card art here. And I
It's
just
so
love,
sick. I
Infinite
don't know if they're
skins are
gonna
like
let
one of
this
my
one
favorite
in
lines. I just
competitive
love
though.
how
Level
we've been able
20,
to kind of
sick.
expand that
I think I'm
theme
level
and
like
grow even
3.
further.
This might be another
The
skin
feet.
for the god on the didn't get a skin in a while list.
Oh, I know. We're hitting them.
right off the bat.
Yeah.
We
His feet
also
look
tried
weird.
to, again, as we often do,
Yo, I love
add
cosmetics
some
in
more
game, and in this game
experimentation and
specifically with the
changes
god and
you
the
know, subgenres
all that sort of
within
stuff
our
is
theme.
sick.
So
Plus,
this
like,
skin,
look at
although
that
it's
face.
infinite,
He's got
it's
like the
a
front
bit of a
face, and then he's got
darker
like the
spin to it,
two.
and we tried to kind of give that a little bit more of a darker theme across the board.
Yeah, this one's looking great. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice pack for Infinite Avatar Vamana.
Their lack of control will truly be their downfall.
A little more sinister than some of the other infinite skins.
Yeah, definitely.
I like it.
I like it. I love the echoing on the voice packs and stuff as well.
And it's a
too.
slight echo. It's
But
not
we've
annoying
got a
like
nice
the.
group of skins that are kind of rounding out the first round in the viewer store. But we've got the stretch reward that we want to talk about here, and this one's been around in the
Yes.
community for a little
Yes.
bit. Olympians kind of picked this one last year.
Finally.
We've got Chichen Pizza Shibalanke as your stretch reward this year. So similar
It's
to Valkyrie
happening.
Bride 4.
Finally, this was a
Yo.
closed
I
beta
know.
idea or something, or season 1 at
This-
least.
So good.
Hello, and it's just
Oh,
X
man.
for
I'm loving the card art.
X-Balanke.
You've got the rats that
Shibalanke.
are kind of chasing because the
X-ball.
pizza. Oh man,
Is
this
he
one
throwing the
looking great.
pizzas too? Please tell me he
Now,
throws the
the
pizza.
lore is very important here. He is
Yes,
working
this is
for a
very true.
rival pizza organization that is does not get along and competes with Chef Vulcan's pizzeria. And of
Oh,
course,
the
he's
chicken
spinning
pi-
a pizza
Look at
as his
look at
weapon
the box.
and throws pizzas.
There's
at
the
people, 'cause that's
temple
whole-
logo thing with the
that's
slices
joke,
as
not
the
gift.
moon.
That's it.
Oh,
Amazing. And for those of you that aren't in on the pun, it's Chichen Pizza is a reference to Chichen Itza, which is a great temple in Central America that is very prominent in Mayan lore, which is super awesome. So kind of give you guys a little bit of a history lesson to go along with this long time Smite
the
community
flag
meme.
with the pizza.
Let's take a
too.
listen to the voice pack before we go in game and show
This
off
is
some of
such a
these,
meme skin. This is great.
Hey, Vulcan's Pizzeria! You got a new competitor in town.
There we go, staying true to the lore
This is
here,
fucking
as AJ
hilarious.
said,
Vulcan
and
pizza
I'm super excited to
competitor.
see this one
Chichen
in
pizza.
game.
He throws pizzas, dude.
Throwing
That's
pizzas.
sick.
Pizzas.
Slinging slices. This is amazing.
Animation looks a little weird as far as the throw.
We've
'cause
been
it's like,
always trying to keep an eye out
like
for
the
some of
arm.
favorite
Arm is very
community meme skins
still.
over the years. You know, we finally did Wedding Dress Thor, and now finally Pizza Balanke. And what is it? Breadsticks and garlic knots he throws at
So,
people. I think.
I'm gonna slow mo this because it's too good not to. He uses a breadstick and shoots out pizza darts.
Oh my goodness.
It's too good.
That's actually
Oh
amazing.
man, this is great.
And of
I
course,
love how you've got like flashes of all the different like pizza ingredients and toppings as well.
And then just ding
I
the
believe
bell
editing
at the
of
end.
light, sort of fiery,
Ding. That's
darkness
Nice, like
for
they're in a
this.
pizza oven.
other than the like throw animation looks a little weird. Like I'm sure it
A
feels
lot of
just
good
fine.
food references is crossing the end.
Yeah. This one is looking great here. This is Chichen Pizza Shibalanke, your stretch reward for the season in the viewer store. So as long as you're watching streams on Twitch, any Smite stream, and earning those points, you will be making progress towards the skin.
This is
which
actually
super
sick.
exciting. And that
Actually
wraps it up
sick.
for kind of the viewer store / viewer pass section of the skin segment. Let's go ahead and start talking about Dawn of Babylon, which is kind of our big event towards the top of the year. And first up in this event that we want to show off in 8.2 is Arachnoid Arachne. And this one is looking sick. You guys know I love all the tech and all the cyborg / mecha skins. This is
Sick, dude. The card arts are like
Another
90%
unique
better
take
than the
on
skins,
a
and
mech
that's nothing
type
against
deal,
the
right?
skins.
Well, not really a
but
mech,
this
very
is sick looking,
cyborg
dude.
android.
Sick looking.
Instead. Very clean and simple, but also very
Mm.
sinister and scary.
10 out of 10.
This
We'll
one's
use
great,
this skin.
and I got a note here in the audio. We've got some awesome like servo references and elements that were put into the effects and audio for this skin. But let's go and take a listen to the voice pack for Arachnoid Arachne.
System is calibrated. Threats identified.
I like it. Just that kind of lighter voice.
Nice,
Android.
definitely looking forward to this one. This one
definitely
looks
would use the
freaking
skin.
out.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Oh my
The way
goodness.
they separate, that's really nicely done by the animation team. There's a lot of detail there.
Yeah, there's tons there.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Very well.
I love the clean, kind of
animated.
sleek look in this one. Next up in Dawn of Babylon, in this bundle, we've got Wild Style Mulan, and this one has got some kind of
Western
anime
Mulan.
vibes and
Oh,
some bright
no.
colors. I'm loving the card art here.
Yo.
We've been doing this more often, but I love the kind of breaking the third or fourth wall here, and it's like you're looking at a security camera, and Mulan is just kind of tagging it up here. This one's great.
The face on the sign there too.
I love all these super bright colors that we've been doing all
Yo,
these
we
skins.
got.
It just looks so
Oh,
good.
she's got a
Like,
pipe.
awesome.
She uses a pipe, dude.
Nice. I love the white and cyans, complemented by the pink too. The
Very
colors are great.
different from the card art.
And this
'cause I
skin
was
has a
wondering
bunch
if
of
she
extra
used
features
skateboard.
with the weapons. Yeah, she's got the sword is a pipe, and I believe her spear is a skateboard. And we even have a half pipe that gets spawned in briefly for the ultimate
Oh my
deployable. She's got
goodness,
some
that's
cool
sick.
stuff going on in this one. Yeah, we really
Nice.
tried to, fill out the whole fantasy of this graffiti punk vibe.
I'll
Oh,
have to
definitely.
see this
Oh yeah,
skin
this
in
makes
game.
sense. Kind of in line with like the past, like the Thor skin that we had. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice pack for Wild Style Mulan.
I was thinking Western when it said
break
Wild Style.
rules. If we follow all the rules, we miss all the fun.
There you go. Definitely.
I
loving
want to
the
see that in
personality
skin because
this
I want to
one.
see the
And
animation.
We've got one
and
more
stuff,
skin to
how
show
I'll
off before
actually
we get
judge it, but it
into
looks pretty sick.
Tiamat, and this is probably Tina's favorite skin of the patch. We've got Northern Warder Kepri as a part of the Critter Chest.
Yo!
And we've transformed the Hug Bug into a fluffy little Northern Warder, and I love it. I love it. I love it. What do you think, AJ?
Well, the idea was what type of mystical creature could we make Kepri instead of a bug, right? So we were like starting to imagine something that was mammalian, right? And how could that work? How would that feel? Something that you would see
I don't know
from
how
a
I
lot
feel
of
about
different
it.
types of fantasy, and
With like
it
the
was
claws
an
and the
interesting
four
challenge.
legs.
Honestly, I'm really happy with how it turned out, though. I think it's super unique, and I think it makes the Kepri skin options feel like they have an even better, wider variety of
He's
choices.
got the
for
claw
players.
on the one
His
side.
face is so cute.
I know. Yeah, this one turned out really great. Let's go ahead and take
I need
a
to see the
listen to
voice
the voice pack for Northern Warder Kepri.
I am as old as the glaciers of the north. Now, they are being threatened.
Okay, the voice pack made it for me. I like the
Nice. I
skin.
love
I'd
it.
use
I
it
love,
just for
like,
that
the deep
voice
voice.
pack.
Kepri, he's got the Guardian, the support, the Protector vibes, and the voice pack definitely echoes those themes. I'm looking forward to seeing that one in game. But it is time. It is time for the reveal of Smite's newest mage, the first god of Season 8. What everybody's been waiting for, I'm sure.
Oh, let's see it.
Come on, let's get to
Let's see it.
We're
No,
gonna
let's
take a
glory,
quick
baby.
break, and on the other side, we will be revealing Tiamat. Goddess
they're
of
going
the
for a
Salt
break,
Sea.
dude.
We'll be back in just a sec.
Ah! Yo, oh, this is gonna be sick.
Enough.
Yeah, this is a sick animation. What? Yes, no, the cinematics for this game are amazing.
This realm can be saved.
remade.
In her image, dude.
In my image.
Oh. Gilgamesh, who's coming in a couple months in the next patch. Is he a warrior and assassin?
Gilgamesh, you seek immortality, but you found only death.
I didn't even realize the hand. Yep. Tiamat, baby! Oh, this is so sick. It's so sick. I'm having a moment. You look at you.
Man, that cinematic gets me every single
Oh,
time.
so
I just
fucking
want
good.
to take a
So
quick second to
fucking good.
shout out our amazing partners over at Glow for all the awesome cinematic works that they've been doing with us over the past season. But it's time to talk about Tiamat. We switched out Pawn for Clumsy. Pawn's still going to be with us in spirit, driving and showing off the new goddess.
Yes.
But we've got Tiamat.
Please
Goddess
let
of
this
the
be
Salt
something I
Sea,
can play in the
first
jungle, like
goddess season
Danzo.
8. We
Unlike
put out the
Cthulhu.
Closer Look blog yesterday.
I need
but
another mage
kinda
to play in the
recap,
jungle.
Talk to me about Tiamat. Who is she, and who is she in Smite?
Go ahead, Clumsy.
I was going to say, so Tiamat is the primordial goddess of the Salt Sea, who mated with Abzu, the god of fresh water. She's the symbol of chaos and primordial creation. In the Babylonian epic of creation, Tiamat gave birth to the first generation of deities. Her husband, Abzu, assumes that they're going to actually go ahead and kill him and usurp his throne, and later makes war upon them, and is actually killed himself. Enraged, she too makes war upon her children, her husband's murderers, taking on the form of massive sea serpents. Who is then later on actually slain in the stories by Enki's son, the storm guard Marduk.
Marduk, yeah.
It's a battle of the gods in Tiamat's original mythology, and now she's coming to the battle of the gods in modern mythology.
Battleground of the gods. Sick.
I know. So talk to me just a little bit about kind of her theming and her kind of our key pillars.
Ajaxon is I'm a hoodie still.
So Tiamat is a primordial goddess, which we,
wait,
you know,
are
we
the
have
three
a few
creatures
of.
the things that she can spawn? They were
really,
talking about
really
she could just
broad
spawn
and powerful
creatures.
abilities. Tiamat is about creation, and she's about creation, order out of chaos. There only was chaos before until Tiamat and Abzu started kind of giving things life and giving things a form. Unfortunately, those first gods, they chose to rebel against her and fight back against their parents. So Tiamat created even more creatures to fight back with. And we're going to be leaning into
tail,
that.
The purples and
her
blues.
visual and personality themes are really about kind of finding the subtle sweet spot in between a monstrous creature and a wise goddess. So she is her visuals are drawn from a lot of different animals, all kind of combined together. We wanted her to have a sort of a base form of a dragon or serpent, as she is described in her ancient mythology, but we wanted to give her a lot of unique looks. So she's got feathers, she's got fur, she's got different types of carapace, she's got a jellyfish sort of
the
fins.
tail is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Well.
Tail is
all
sick.
sorts of things, and her personality is also conflicted in that regard. She's very calm and collected and neutral, but she's kind of saved the Smite world for now, right? But she's also very straightforward and powerful and demands respect, which different gods are going to take in very different ways, and we're going to be exploring that throughout the year.
All right. Well, we've got a chance to look at the card, and this turnaround, like her model looks absolutely gorgeous, but I'm about ready to see Tiamat in game. So, as is tradition for the update show, I will give the reins to Pawn and let him go wild, and then we'll talk about everything.
The art. Those abilities are changing, dude. She's got a melee form? No, don't lag.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. That was so much.
That's so cool!
Oh my gosh, there's so much going on. Oh,
Yo, this looks like something I could
Yeah,
totally run in the jungle.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
I mean,
And the
the
effects
color
look
and
great
tone
here.
details. I mean,
Dude,
the whole
that
team is really
channeled line ability.
an
What was
insane
that?
job. She's got,
That's
I think,
gonna
the
be
most
so
abilities in the
nuts
game,
if that
actually.
scales
Yeah, I
even
was
half
gonna say,
recently.
Clumsy, it would be an update show with you if we didn't have a new reigning supreme god for the most abilities in Smite.
I mean,
so
she's the primordial queen and the mother of monsters, the first of the Babylonian pantheon. We really wanted to do justice on who Tiamat is with so many different themes. I think the team did a fantastic job.
This is
yeah,
okay.
we'll
The
be back in game
visuals
in
of
just
those
a second,
effects.
Chat going through setting things up just again. Tiamat was just too strong. She's too powerful.
We had that
Yo,
contest running
Orsic,
for
that's
like an hour
that's
plus or some 2
insane,
hours,
bro.
so that's why we had
Those
to
abilities
restart
are gonna
that.
be
Nothing
insane.
with Tiamat's kit, although we expect you all to find some stuff on PTS as well.
Yeah.
Clumsy, you could give just kind of a brief overview of the kit if you'd like as a start. The core goals, core themes.
Like we talked about in the closer look blog, which I hope all of you guys got to see, is that Tiamat has a lot of different themes going on, right? She's the mother of monsters. She's this primordial queen, the goddess of the salt sea and primordial creation. And we wanted to really, and she's the first of the Babylonian.
She's a
pantheon, right?
stance
We wanted to
switcher
take
with
all these different
ranged
themes
and
come
melee.
together to create a creature and argument
Yeah,
that
you
was
do that
really
just in
unlike
time.
anything that you've seen before. So amongst that, we wanted to make her a stance
There we
switcher,
go.
which in a way is also very different with how she switches between 2 different archetypes of mages, and you're going to see that come into play with her passive, which we can get into in just a second, I think.
Yeah, so we're gonna do things just a little bit different here. We're not gonna go like in order of like actual abilities. We're gonna start off with the stance switch first, and then talk about everything else. So first
Her
up, we've
stance
got
switch doesn't
Grounding
cost
Dive,
any
which
mana?
is her ability 3 in Flying Stance. Talk to me about Grounding Dive, Clumsy.
Yep, so Grounding Dive is a movement ability and a mechanism to go in switching between stances. So Tiamat goes between Flying Stance and Ground Stance. Grounding Dive, all it really does is actually transition to her with a leap, dealing damage when she hits the ground, and bringing her to her ground stance.
I like
it
those
also provides
autos.
Tiamat 1 hardened scale, which is a part of our passive, which I'll get into in just a second. But the opposite of Grounding Dive, which you can now use as the third ability in this stance,
I wouldn't. I
is
doesn't.
Rising
I would
Flight.
guess they wouldn't cleave, but that'd be cool.
So
There
Rising
we
Flight
go.
is also pretty simple. It's a blast of energy that deals damage to energies, and it sends herself backwards, returning her to her flying stance.
So that's she
Using,
has a both. So her
Grounding
3
Dive
is her
and Rising
movement
Flight
ability
is the
in
only
both
way to switch
stances.
between these 2 different stances.
Yeah, super unique. So her stance switch is tied to her ability 3, which is her movement ability. She can either leap in and go
Yeah.
grounded
So her
stance, or
3
leap
makes
back
it a
and go
leap
flying
in
stance.
to melee
let's
or
talk
a
about
dash
passive.
back
Really
to
unique
range.
dynamics though with the ability of
And
how
that's
to
on her
use
3,
your
that's
movement
not her
ability to
ultimate.
also change
Is her
stances,
her ultimate
because a
has
lot
to be
of
that
times you're using your
projectile?
abilities as
Is
a
that
very
what her
reactive
ultimate is?
state, and then all of a sudden you've got to fight with like a different kit. It creates a really different feel for this character compared to all the other stance switchers. And also just take a look at how tall she is towering over that Odin while she's in her flying stance.
I know. I think we talked about it in
The range
closer
of that
look.
leap
she's
is kinda
taller
small.
than all the other gods, but not quite as tall
Yo.
as Jormungandr or Cthulhu. She's kind of in the middle ground there.
And her camera height is higher as well to match that.
Yeah. The other thing to note in the 2 different stances is in the flying stance she is ranged at magic attacks, but in the ground stance she's actually doing melee attacks.
All right. Well, we've got the stance switch down. Let's talk about the passive. Death Gets Life.
So Tiamat's passive does a different thing in each of the stances, right? That's kind of the gimmick here. So in the flying stance, Tiamat gains health from nearby ally and enemy deaths. So that's any deaths around her, but a little bit less from minions. In her ground stance, she gains up to 5 hardened scales, and that's kind of the mechanism that allows her to be tanky in that stance. So gaining hardened scale is actually damage mitigation that breaks after a certain amount of damage is taken. It also counts for nearby ally and enemy death, but not including minions this time. So mostly gods and like jungle monsters, large jungle monsters.
Yo, she's gonna be a jungler. Like, there's no way I'm not playing this shit in the jungle.
Definitely.
Jump into
Alright,
melee,
so
become
let's talk
tankier
about
after
the
just
flying
being
stance
ranged,
abilities here.
but still being a
We'll start off
ranged
with
mage on a
Primordial
siege.
Onslaught. Her
This is gonna be
ability 1
nuts,
flying
dude.
stance. What's going on with this one, Clumsy?
Oh my god.
Primordial Onslaught, Pawn, if you don't mind me being an annoying one, can you set level just so you have the ranks 1 and 2, and then we'll go on from there, because Primordial Onslaught, well, Tiamat gains power, allowing her to fire orbs of energy at the end of the channel. Each orb stops on gods, but damages minions and enemies on the way through.
Love you, darling.
going through
We'll have to
walls.
play for sure.
And as you can see, as she charges up, she gains from 1 to 2 projectiles. At ranks 3 and 5, that actually increases. So at rank 3, she goes from 1, 2 to 4 projectiles. And then finally at rank 5, she'll gain all 6 projectiles if you continue through the entire channel. And you can see her like beautiful cuneiform glyphs like around her back kind of filling in.
That's a sick ability.
I mean, you did a lot of work actually to get that feeling right.
Yes, this one looks great. And
That
I'm gonna
looks
ask Fawn to
amazing.
Kind of charge.
It
up
looks
and
like they
do a
hit less
sweep
for
as you
each.
fire,
Yeah, they
so
hit
we can
less
see
for
how the
each
projectiles
consequent
kind of
hit.
interact
So
with
the
each other.
scaling's gonna go down after you hit each of them.
Oh yeah, you can definitely change your mind mid-fire and switch targets.
Yeah, if you hit the same god with multiple ones, you are going to be doing less damage per successful shot.
Yeah. So this will be one you just kind of
So
like.
her primary range poke, this is going to do a lot of damage. If you walk into this and take all 6 shots in the late game, you're going to feel it, right? It's going to feel like a Scylla Crush.
Oh yeah.
And one thing that's
That
important
charge
as well
up
is that
those like a
because the amount
second.
of projectiles increases as you rank up that ability.
Yeah, it's at least
her
like a
early
second
game, even though
plus
she's a
charge
stance
up to
switcher,
the full
isn't actually the
charges.
strongest, but we can get into that a little bit later as we talk
That's
about
probably what you're gonna be.
Maybe now we can get
I don't
to
know
the
what the melee is with it.
All right, yeah. Let's talk about Ruination.
So Ruination, Tiamat creates an energy field. That's going to be what we call a double-rounded triangle, where it deals low damage to enemies in the entire area, and then a larger amount in the inner area after another time to deploy. The inner area will then also stun enemies that are inside of it. So low damage, and then high damage and a stun for enemies inside the center.
I love the effects on this one, and of course, I called it out a little bit. But
I didn't hear if it said it could go through walls. I'm gonna read the patch notes after
Always.
this.
And both
to
of
see
these
exactly
abilities
what
are
it
really
says.
exploring the sort of like primordial creation magic that Tiamat
Absolutely.
wields. It's not just like something that would burn you. Or
Yeah, you're
destroy
definitely
you.
gonna
It's like,
stun them
imagine
in-
that
yeah, she's a
Tiamat just
mage.
undoes things that she wants to destroy, right? It's really cool.
Just Control
type of
Z.
unique take. Yeah, right.
All right, so we're talking about kind of her undoing things, but let's talk
Yeah,
about
so you're
her
definitely gonna
creating
stun them
things.
into
It's
your
time to
one
talk
for
about
max
the
range
ultimate.
mage damage.
Children of
Well done there,
creation.
Isaiah.
I
Well,
appreciate it.
people-
I've been practicing, you know?
People were wondering how is Tiamat going to be summoning all these different creatures, and how does she have all these abilities? Well, that's in the fourth, her ultimate in the flying stance. If you can see right here, she's actually going to be toggling in to another stance, really, another posture, where she can now use 3 completely different abilities in this stance.
Yo.
They all will share a cooldown. The first one here is Summon Serpents, where Tiamat will place a Pit of Creation, which spawns serpents of Tiamat that travel down the minion lanes, just like minions, just like lane minions. They attack nearby enemies. If you do them in the jungle, they'll try and attack things nearby before finding a nearby lane. 2 serpents spawn every 10 seconds, and the deployable in general will create 3 waves before disappearing. Also, any enemies that are hit by the serpents will have their damage done reduced. These guys are really a new mechanism that we haven't really tried before, which is passive lane pushers.
Yes.
A little bit about their health as well is that they take 1 HP from god hits, including abilities, per unique ability, as well as 3 hits from minions. So they are a little bit tankier to minions, and like I said, they apply that damage reduction debuff as well to gods and minions.
You can do some really interesting lane pushing and XP farming tricks with this ability too. And it's a very unique
and they
ultimate
last
that you
until
can
they
choose
last
which one you want.
until
So
they
if,
get
if it wasn't
hit
clear,
too.
This is used by pressing 2 different buttons to activate the ultimate, and then pressing another one to choose the creature. Similar as kind of the way you would do Merlin's stance switch choice.
Yep. Enemies also can actually stand on that Pit of Creation deployable, the circle where they spawn from, to actually destroy it early as well.
And I believe
That's
it
if
said
they can
this
find
was
it,
in
if
the
they
range
can get
stance, so I think you
But in
have to
general,
be in the
these
range
minions
to
will-
use her
if you actually see,
ultimate
they have
then,
no
or is it
lifetime.
different?
They will keep traveling until they're killed eventually by towers or the
Yes.
Titan.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to say, so these serpents are persistent. They will push until they die.
Yeah.
And yeah, that circle will only last 3 waves of these minions. You can only have 1 of the pits out at a time. But from there, I think we can go into the second of Tiamat's flying ultimate abilities, Summon Beast, where Tiamat creates a different one of her children, Kusariku, one of the ones of the stories, who stands guard at a target location. A little bit different to the primary purpose, Kusariku, or Summon Beast, if an enemy god gets too close, he will charge them and slow them and then attack them. he will wait guard to protect Tiamat and protect locations. So you can see he's just waiting there, but if there's a god nearby, he will immediately start attacking them and slowing them extremely heavily for 80%, but only for 1 second.
80% for 1 second.
All of these children we're spawning here from Tiamat are also based specifically on ancient Babylonian texts, and they have their
okay, so
ancient
it keeps
Babylonian
attacking.
names, Clumsy is doing a pretty good job of pronouncing.
Yeah, I know.
I hope I'm doing okay there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he serves a completely different purpose, and you can get to him in a little bit more
I mean,
detail.
it doesn't look like it does a whole lot of damage. It's 57.
Go on to the third one of Tiamat's children, which is a little bit less of the normal kind of monster challenges you'd see, but it is Umu Debrutu, the Violent Storm. And Umu Debrutu, or Summoning Storm, when Tiamat creates this deployable, it actually follows enemies before knocking them upwards and dissipating. So, Umu Debrutu, the Violent Storms, is actually still one of Tiamat's children.
Yes. If you guys caught
so
on
it's
social
a charge
media,
up there for
you know, we love our distracted boyfriend meme here at Hi-Rez, and this is one that we were thinking about here. So it's kind of like Cuckoo Tornado, but not really. But it follows around. But again, all the effects.
The 3 other spoiler tweets.
Yeah, that'll be the one of the things you'll have to mess with.
3 children that she can spawn.
Yep.
So those ones that were in the kind of more ancient runic style, those were meant to hint to these, which was a really cool concept.
Yep, exactly. And then, like I mentioned a few times earlier, and I can get to again later, each one of Tiamat's ultimate children really provide a different purpose to her gameplay. Remember I said they all share a cooldown, so you can only use one at a time.
Okay.
So if you want to use those basilisks to spawn and push down the lane, that's fine, but that means you won't have your Minotaur, your Bulwark there, who might help root down a single target if you're being ganked, which also means you might not have Umu Debrutu there for when team fights break out, and you might want that AoE disruption.
That's a long cooldown. 30 seconds on the ultimate, so we're talking like Stance Switch Merlin cooldown.
We've gone through everything in flying.
Oh yeah, Gem of ISO for sure.
Let's transition it.
I don't think it works on the deployables,
switch
though.
things up and talk about grounded stance. And the first ability, probably the biggest talking point on social media after the closer look, is Consume. Let's talk about Consume, Clumsy. What's going on with this one?
So I love introducing this one to people because I just go, it's a simple cone, right? You Consume, you just look at it, it's a simple cone, it deals damage and it slows enemies. But wait, there's more. We really wanted to try something different here. Consume in the grounded stance. Tiamat can actually use this in minions, on large monsters, and buff holders, as we're about to see, to execute them underneath the health thresholds.
What now?
So you can see the little FX mark we have on those enemies. It'll instantly kill those enemies.
You can fucking what?
Mechanic before, if Tiamat actually does this to a buff holder, well, things get a little bit interesting. And I think I love seeing all.
Is this what allows you to do the double buff?
She duplicates buffs.
Duplicate
but there's
buffs.
actually a little bit more to it as well. So Tiamat is able to consume and immediately gain one of these buffs, as we're about to see. Bang! She dropped a red buff in the world, and she gained a red.
Yo, what the fuck?
But there's a little bit more to it too. If Tiamat
no way, can she stack this?
Jungle buff holder without using, well, not necessarily without using consume. If she already has consume a consumed buff, so go ahead and kill that. She can then actually walk over and pick up a second buff. So not only does she
I wish I could see
buffs,
chat right now.
Red plus speed on a jungler? Red and speed on a fucking jungler? Is that what I'm seeing here?
Two different buffs. They all have the maximum duration, and I know people are going to be thinking, this is just insane, but there's a lot of different things we did to make sure that this feels balanced. In fact, we actually started out with the consumed buff having like 20% of the duration, or 30 or 50%, but we noticed that trying to force this kind of gameplay, and even if you're playing her in the jungle, it's not the easiest to make use of this. Now, in other game modes like Arena or Joust, it might actually be a lot easier, but in Conquest, if you're playing in the mid lane or the solo lane, it may not actually be that easy to get this going, but like people said, if you want to drop a red buff, pick that up for yourself and let the support go ahead and grab that, well, you're feeling pretty happy.
Yo, what the fuck?
You can't be
speed plus red, or even like blue plus speed?
Starting positions in their normal jungle flow, just so you can get an extra.
Because here's what you do at the beginning of the game: you level this
But-
level 1 right
which
in your melee
I'm very
stance.
excited to see how the pros.
You
use
level
it.
it level
Do
1.
target themselves
You
that
don't
way.
pick
Do
up your
try
own
completely different
speed,
start when it's
but you
Tiamat
duplicate
game.
it for yourself, and
'cause
then
then
you
we'll really
get
see the
blue buff
difference.
as well as your
And
solo
I'm definitely
laner.
anticipating if a Tiamat is on your team, you're definitely wanting to prioritize the Greater Scorpion to get those enhanced jungle buffs.
Paul's got a
Yo!
good point here. Another thing that you can see is that just like in the stories, Tiamat can actually consume her actual pets. So they will immediately be executable by consume. You can see those little points. And what that does, if you remember from the passive, is that she can actually gain hardened scales, which is what allows her to have the extra mitigations when her pets die.
So you could
around.
literally
So
spawn
she
your own
summons
pets,
minions
consume
into
them for the
flying stance
stacks,
pets,
and then
and
go
goes
and...
into the ground stance and immediately consumes them. She will be even tankier. She gets 5 stacks of hardened scales. I know,
Yeah,
it
especially
sounds like
now
a lot,
because they
guys.
added speed to upgraded speed buff!
So much. All right. Well, that was Consume. Let's talk about Outburst.
Yo,
Gonna be
Consume's
second
fucking
ability in
insane!
ground
That's
stance.
this.
Outburst, a lot more simple. Tiamat slams the ground, creating seismic rifts that erupt in succession in front of her, damaging and knocking up enemies. That's all it does, I promise.
That's it. Yeah, I was waiting. I was like, wait, is there more?
Rolling damage and CC.
It's not a huge knockup.
We've already talked about the third ability, which allows her to switch stances, but then she's finally got her ultimate in ground stances.
Yes. Tempest of Undoing, her ultimate in grounded stance. What does this one do?
So Tempest of Undoing, it causes an outburst around her, dealing damage in that circle around her that you see, and also a small dot effect to any enemies that are hit by this, gods and minions. Now, the other thing to note, just one small other caveat, is that when Tiamat uses and hits enemy gods, she also gains 1 hardened scale per enemy god hit.
So if you
This ability
blink
is her main
and hit
way
like
of
3
generating
people,
hardened
you
scales
automatically
outside of
have
just
3
stance
hardened.
switches.
So you
switch
blink
up using
alt in
her
ground
pets and
stance.
consuming them, or people dying nearby. So
Yo,
you use this
shit's in the jungle? No cap. I'm running this shit in the jungle, bro. This is nuts. Yeah, she has 2 move. Granted, it's a dash backwards, and it switches your stance.
Super interesting.
But
and
yo,
lots of stuff that
dude,
we
I'm gonna
just
have
haven't
so
done
much
before,
fun with Tiamat
lots
in the
of
jungle.
Gameplay ideas.
Oh yeah,
and
solo
mechanics.
lane, mid lane,
How
jungle.
do you guys kind of envision playstyle recommendations, and where do you see her kind of fitting in the meta and in Conquest?
Yep.
So, I mean, she's definitely most likely going to be a mage that you see in the middle lane, but I think she can definitely flex in between the solo lane with a tankier playstyle, or maybe even in the jungle if people really want to try and get maximum utilization out of Consume. As I mentioned earlier, she doesn't actually have the strongest early game because she only has a small bit of clear with those 2 shots of her Primordial Onslaught. So, unlike most stands, which is like Merlin.
Yeah, her
or,
clear is probably going to be
for
the
example,
biggest thing that's going to
her
be
early
in.
game is going to be harder to get make use by. Conduit Gem has
Yeah,
helped
But that's
a lot
most
in the new
mage
season,
jungles,
but,
like
still,
Hebo
even with
and
that, it's a bit
if
off.
you go Bumbas,
Yeah, that's a great point.
you'll
She
be
is
fine.
different from other stance switchers in the fact that if you want stance switch at level 1, you have to invest in your 3, which may not be the best ability for you to take. So definitely interesting. That's a great point, Clumsy.
The other thing to note is I know you guys have seen this, a lot going on. We wanted to make sure that Tiamat really did justice to all of these different themes. I think it's going to make a lot more sense when you get your hands on her. And another thing to note is that while it seems like she has a lot that she can do, it's all actually coming out over a longer period of time, right? Even if you're using the entirety of her kit, you're using Summon Beast to slow down an enemy, into Ruination, into Primordial Onslaught, diving into enemies, and then using her entire combo there, that's still not maybe as much burst as just using your 3-1 ulti combo as Hebo. It's coming over a longer period of time, and it forces you to jump into the fight.
Definitely. Well, thanks so much for going through everything, Clumsy. I know you put in a ton of work on Tiamat.
Yo, this is gonna be so much fun to run this
to get
shit.
their hands on the goddess of the Salt Sea. But before we break, we do have, some recolors and mastery skins that we want to show off. The first one, your standard recolor, is Azure Sea Tiamat. And we tweeted this art, and everybody immediately was like, who did this? This is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I know
this one's
AJ,
sick.
Yeah.
This was my favorite of all of her cards.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
they're all
3
really
is the
cool.
stance
Personally,
switch.
this one
So
speaks
your
to me.
level 1 through 5 is going to be kind of
It's just something about
iffy
her
because
rising
you're not
from
going to have
the
full
depths and
access
you
to
see
all
the
your
wreckage and stuff
cooldowns.
around.
But once you get
And
online with Tiamat,
I love that
she's
we
going to be
kept
like
kind of the
Loki.
pinks,
She's
but
going to have a lot of
instead like
damage,
the
but it's going to be
cyans,
over
we go
a
into, like,
long
deeper
ass time.
purplish. Here, this one's great. And we've got some voice lines that we want to show off as well.
And the
so
thing is, you're not
let's
going to be
listen
able
the
to
first
start
voice
the
line we have
3 for
Tiamat while we
clear.
look
You're
at
going to
this
have to
recolor.
start that 1.
is flawed and full of corruption. I have arrived to cleanse the land and reshape it in my own image.
I mean, in the new meta, though, you get to lane, and I think you clear wave and hit
I gotta
level
give a shout out
3.
while we're listening to the voice pack.
So, like,
the
you hit
audio
level
team,
3
specifically
pretty
Chad, I know
pretty
he
quick
took in
on.
a lot of work kind of thinking about the weight on both of all the audio effects as we transition stances.
Yeah, because
like that,
now what you do is
for
the meta is
Tiamat.
you go speed,
Super
backs,
awesome.
and
But
blue
we've got
with
the
your
next
with the
recolor
jungle,
as a part
so
of
you
your
get to
Season
lane at
Pass
level 2 because of
2021,
how...
your
ooh.
first ascended skin of the year. It's going to be Tiamat, and I love kind of like the greenish yellows here. What do you think?
I mean, we had the different purples, and we've got these awesome greens. I love this kind of hue on this, like, crazy monstrous creature.
Yeah.
This is a very unique color choice, and I really like it. And I think it really appeals to the people who are looking for the more reptilian feel from her.
That's a good point.
Which is what I think comes through with this, which is really cool.
All right, let's take a listen to another voice line for Tiamat.
I see insects competing for supremacy, playing God. Let me show you where the God really is.
Oh, Tiamat's gonna be so much fun, and then the purple on the fur neck too.
Just are super.
Tiamat's gonna be
great.
so much fun.
Let's
And even if it's not like
transition into
conquest
mastery skins
meta
for Tiamat.
viable,
Be
I'm gonna be
available
playing
day
this shit in
one
like
once you
every
launch
other
it. So
game
if
mode.
you're
This shit
grinding,
is gonna be so
getting
much
those
fun.
worshippers up, you will be able to unlock the gold, legendary, and diamond skins.
Damn.
Here's the card for the masteries.
Card
This one
art still
looks so great.
beautiful too.
These card arts are insane.
I love how she's just kind of grasping that energy and is just ready to onslaught someone and just like undo their entire existence. Going game here. See the turnaround.
That's one of the cleanest
one
legendary
more voice line
skins.
for Tiamat. Let's take a
golden
listen as we
legendary
transition
skins.
to the legendary and diamond skins.
You dare test your might against Tiamat?
No, we don't want to test our might against Tiamat.
I know, right? Yeah, I definitely do not. So there we go. And I believe we'll be transitioning to the legendary and diamond skins here in just a bit. Yep, there we go. There's legendaries.
These
black and
colors
gold
really
is my
pop on
favorite.
her, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, they do.
I always love this theme, especially on the creature characters.
Legendary.
This looks so bad.
All of these skins
I
are
always think about,
actually
where are we
so
gonna,
clean.
do the color blocking for the creatures? Because with humans, it's in the clothing. It's kind of easier to tell, but the kind of liberties the art team takes for the mastery skins on creatures is really great.
Yeah, we kind of just went all out on the mastery colors for Tiamat here.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, there's the diamond.
Honestly,
There we
the
go.
legendary and gold I think are a little bit better, but that's so clean. All of these skins are
We'll be
clean.
getting that day 1, day 2.
Oh,
Week 1. What's
yeah,
the
I know,
challenge
right?
nowadays?
I love the new god race for the first to diamond. I love getting those tweets. This one looks great. Well, that is a wrap for the goddess of the Salt Sea. Lots going on with Tiamat. I'm super excited. I hope
she's gonna be so much fun to mess around
the
with.
entire team internally is super excited.
I'm curious how she would do as an AA
I believe PTS
character as well.
New Pantheon. There's so much going on. It's awesome. New Conquest map. But I believe PTS is targeted for Friday, so be sure to keep an eye out on all the official.
Yeah,
Smite
most
Games
of the
social
changes
media
are just
channels.
going to be in
we'll
the.
be sure to let you know when you'll be able to
in
log
the,
in on PTS
in
and
the,
test out the newest mage coming to Smite. But that's a
in
wrap
that bonus
here
that's
for
coming
us. Thanks so much,
Tuesday.
everybody, for tuning in. We will catch
The
you
minimal
all
changes
on the next
were Set's getting a nerf, Cupid got a bit of a nerf, and CERN I think got a buff. Yo, dude, that's actually insane. Yep, but I'm going to end that here. I was just streaming as far as watching this. I'll be back later today. I'm going to do some in-houses here in like an hour and a half, and then do some ranked this evening, probably grind late. Trying to see how close to plat I can get. Go ahead and pause this here. So, thank you for watching. Thanks to people who joined me in chat here as well. I'm going to have this up on YouTube today. I'm actually going to go do my best to upload that right now. Get that up there. So, appreciate everybody who stopped in, and you guys have a great rest of your day.